Hey, folks. Today's episode is brought to you in no small part for one of your companions who's very important to you. Of course, we're talking about our cats. We're almost like a full cat show now, aren't we?
Only
Doug.
Only Brian.
Brian. I am actually am really getting along well with my cat because he stopped peeing everywhere. And so we're much
That's
more
very
simpatico. And he loves to come in and cuddle with me in the morning. And so I'm much more invested in keeping him healthy these days.
Oh, that's good.
And how do I do that? Well, I give my cat his favorite cat food. Today's podcast sponsored by Smalls. If you're a listener to this show, you know that my cat loved Smalls. You know that Matt's cat loves Smalls. And
Soon to be.
There'll be two other cats in the Smalls universe in this office. To get 60% off your first order, but plus free shipping, head to smalls.com. Use our promo code MAJORITY for a limited time only. Smalls cat food is protein-packed recipes made with preservative-free ingredients that you'd find in your fridge. And it's delivered straight to your door. That's why cats.com named Smalls their best overall cat food. My cat loves the... what do they call it? Fresh bird, the chicken, but also there's another one with turkey and chicken liver, and he loves that. They also have this broth that you can sort of super size, and he loves.
Keeps them hydrated.
Yes,
too.
It also keeps them very hydrated. That's a good point. Forbes,
I'm an expert now.
Forbes ranked Smalls the best overall cat food, while BuzzFeed says that their cats went completely ballistic for this stuff. Matt's cats love Smalls.
Oh, yeah. I mean, especially that little gravy sort of juice that you put on the dry food.
They love it. Smalls has a bunch of amazing treats and snacks you can add to your order. After switching to Smalls, 88% of cat owners reported overall health improvements, and that's a big deal, of course. If you have a picky cat, Smalls has a sampler, so your cat can try everything Smalls has to offer. And the teams at Smalls is so confident that your cat's going to love their product, you can try it risk-free. Keep one can of your old cat food, put it right next to the Smalls. See which one your cat goes for. I guarantee you it'll be the Smalls. What are you waiting for? Give your cat the food they deserve for a limited time only. Because you are a Majority Report viewer or listener, you can get 60% off your first Smalls order plus free shipping by using our code MAJORITY. That's 60% off when you head to smalls.com. Use the promo code MAJORITY. Again, that's promo code MAJORITY for 60% off your first order plus free shipping at smalls.com. Now time for the show.
The Majority Report with Sam Seder.
The destiny of America is always safer in the hands of the people than in the conference rooms of any elite.
Sam Seder.
They are unanimous in their hate for me, and I welcome their hatred.
We must guard against the acquisition of unwarranted influence, whether sought or unsought, by the military-industrial complex.
The Majority Report with Sam Seder.
Ever get the feeling you've been cheated?
It is Monday, August 18th, 2025. My name is Sam Seder. This is the 5-time award-winning Majority Report. We are broadcasting live steps from the industrially ravaged Gowanus Canal in the heartland of America, downtown Brooklyn, USA. On the program today, Alberto Medina, writer, editor, advocate for Puerto Rico's decolonization and independence, publisher of the Free Puerto Rico substack. Then Denis Pilash, activist, editor of the Commons Journal, assistant professor at Kyiv Institute of International Relations. Meanwhile, also on the program, Trump to meet Zelensky and European heads at the White House. This in the wake of a failed meeting with Putin. Trump regime halts visas for injured Gazans upon the demand from Laura Loomer. Hundreds of thousands of Israelis protest to end the Gaza assault. Meanwhile, yesterday, 17 aid seekers killed by Israel. New report, Texas Democrats to return to Texas perhaps as early as today. D.C. residents take to the streets to resist the federal troop invasion. Judge rules the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau can lay off 80% of its employees. Oklahoma to require a political MAGA loyalty test and vow from teachers transplanted from New York and California. 10,000 striking Air Canada attendants, presumably Canadians, to remain on strike despite a government order to return to work. And Newsmax, just across the wires, pays $67 million to settle a defamation case linked to the 2020 election coverage and their claims against Dominion voting. All this and more on today's Majority Report. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. It is
Fun Day Monday.
Fun Day Monday.
Hello, hello.
Hope everyone had a nice weekend. Back to the insanity that is the Trump administration. Today in D.C., Zelensky is coming to the White House with Prime Minister of UK, the President of France, the Prime Minister of Italy. Who else? There's going to be a lot of people there, all to make sure that essentially, presumably, Trump will not, mock Zelensky's clothing. Is that the idea? Finnish President Alexander Stubb is going to be there. NATO Secretary General Mark Rutte is going to be there. German Chancellor Merz is going to be there.
That's quite a sight. I mean, I think it's going to be, it's interesting because it's in those European leaders' domestic interests to hug Ukraine in this way and look in opposition to the United States, which, basically the European consensus is that the United States is abandoning Ukraine.
And we will talk a little bit more about that with Denis Pilash in just a few moments. But first, let's play this clip. It's a clip from a Ken Burns documentary.
Credit to Dropsite for finding this.
Yeah, I mean, this is I don't know how well known history it is. Certainly, I mean, it was. I certainly had it in my Jewish education when I was a kid. But this is how the U.S. and Congress in particular stopped a bill during the Holocaust that would admit Jewish refugee children.
After Kristallnacht, Britain had allowed 10,000 children, but not their parents, to escape Nazism in what was called the Kindertransport. In February 1939, Democratic Senator Robert Wagner of New York and Republican Congresswoman Edith Norse Rogers of Massachusetts introduced a new bill.
The bill says let's let in 10,000 kids between the age of 5 and 14 per year, 1939 and 1940, and let's not count them against the immigration quota system.
The First Lady backed the bill. Her husband privately offered advice on how it might be passed, but said nothing in public. But the American Legion, the Daughters of the American Revolution, and the American Coalition of Patriotic Societies were all opposed. They had favored some of the 60 bills that had recently been introduced to reduce immigration quotas.
It's a xenophobic refusal. I can't explain it because it seems so cruel to me, especially given a country as big as the United States with plenty of space. I do understand.
Okay, I mean, I think we get the gist. Xenophobia, anti-Semitism, from their perspective, racism, it doesn't really matter. I mean, all of those things apply.
At one point in that clip, they recite a quote from someone speaking about how they're ugly children and they're going to turn into ugly adults and we don't want them in the United States, basically.
It would diminish the purity of the American people. It would slowly they would take over from the whites. I mean, it's all rhetoric that we hear again today. It's just a different set of people that those bigots are now focused on.
Except this time we're providing the bombs with our tax dollars that are killing these very children and maiming them. So it's even more of a responsibility for us to allow in these Palestinian children who have exhausted health options in other parts of the world and need the United States to step up here, at the very least.
We've seen some examples of specific children, Palestinian children, getting visas to come visit. Miss Rachel, we featured one on her program, a little girl who had lost her limbs. And so, we've seen popular images, and apparently Laura Loomer on Friday was outraged.
This triggered her.
Here it is. Here is her tweet. Exclusive. Despite the U.S. saying we are not accepting Palestinian refugees into the United States under the Trump administration, I have obtained footage of Palestinians who claim to be refugees from Gaza coming into the United States via San Francisco and Houston and Texas this month. The Palestinians have traveled from Gaza to the U.S. with the help of a group called Heal Palestine. Literally heal, because, of course, they're bringing in people who need medical treatment. How did Palestinians get visas under the Trump administration to get in the United States? Did the State Department approve this? How do they get out of Gaza? Is Secretary Rubio aware of this? Now, she tags Secretary Rubio, and I know that's like, okay, he's going to pay attention to this, right? That's what you're thinking. Who from the State Department is assisting Heal Palestine? Why are any Islamic invaders coming into the U.S. under the Trump administration? These Islamic invaders, of course, are very often children who have been maimed or desperately need medical attention. Who approved the visas, et cetera, et cetera? This is a national security threat. And here she plays the video. Look it down below. It is children from Gaza arrive in San Francisco.
Yeah, she's obtained the video by screen
recording. Look at these
recording.
Islamic invaders, these children coming in for cancer treatments or for surgery or something to that effect.
The Loomer Unleashed watermark over top.
Maybe she should chain herself to the doors of the hospital with a Jewish star on herself, like she did when she.
I think it was a
Twitter.
yellow armband.
Oh, sorry, yellow armband this time, and talk about how she's the real victim for having to see these images of Palestinian children having a smile on their face.
Now, you may ask, why are we there's no news story in that Laura Loomer is an abject Islamophobe and is tweeting that she cannot stand the vision of Palestinian children getting any type of health care or any type of help in this country. Of course, who cares what Laura Loomer says? Oh, it turns out the highest reaches of our government do. I give you Marco Rubio.
Why did the State Department just announce that they're halting visitor visas for all Gazans coming here for medical aid? Why would some of these kids, for example, who are coming to hospitals for treatment be a threat?
Well, first of all, it's not just kids. It's a bunch of adults that are accompanying them. Second, we had outreach from multiple
Can you pause it?
congressional
I'm
offices
sorry.
asking
Really
questions.
quickly, the reason that adults are accompanying them in many ways are in part because many of these children have no family left. So sometimes they have one parent that's accompanying them because the rest of their family has been assassinated by Israel in this genocide. And sometimes they have people that are accompanying them that are just trying to get them care. And I also it's just a quick rhetorical note on the use of Gazan. I know it's similar if you're saying like New Yorker versus American, but there's this concerted effort not to say the word Palestinian that I wish would be rooted out from our media. And it's just something to note, but.
Adults that are accompanying them. Second, we had outreach from multiple
pause it.
congressional offices.
I just also, I'm sorry. Do we really need to justify why injured children are coming with adults accompanying them?
Yeah.
First off, we know what happens to kids who come to this country without adults accompanying them. They end up in a cage.
Grotesque.
All right, let's just go back a little bit. It's astonishing.
Visas for all Gazans coming here for medical aid. Why would some of these kids, for example, who are coming to hospitals for treatment be a threat?
Well, first of all, it's not just kids. It's a bunch of adults that are accompanying them. Second, we had outreach from multiple congressional offices asking questions about it. And so we're going to reevaluate how those visas are being granted, not just to the children, but how those visas are being granted to the people who are accompanying them. And by the way, to some of the organizations that are facilitating it. There is evidence been presented to us by numerous congressional offices that some of the organizations bragging about and involved in acquiring these visas have strong links to terrorist groups like Hamas. And so we are not going to be in partnership with groups that are friendly with Hamas. So we're going to pause those visas. There was just a small number of them issued to children, but they come with adults accompanying them, obviously. And we are going to pause this program and reevaluate how those visas are being vetted and what relationship, if any, has there been by these organizations to the process of acquiring those visas. We're not going to be in partnership with groups that have links or sympathies towards Hamas.
Secretary of State Marco Rubio, we have to
no follow-up?
Oh, how about, wait, didn't you do this because Laura Loomer told you to? It's odd that Rubio doesn't just say like, well, I had to. Laura Loomer told me to do it. So of course we have to stop children from coming and getting health care because Laura Loomer told me. I mean, it's a good thing that we had him on Face the Nation, though, because he really had to face the nation with that.
Oh, yeah.
Grilled.
What is the value of this if you're not going to follow up a statement like that?
What's that one shred of evidence that this is like somehow linked to Hamas? But even if it was, who cares? I hope Marco Rubio is proud of himself. Just a worm.
Well, I'm sure he is, because as we've said before the election, it probably should have been seen coming that this administration is stacked with Zionists from the top of the administration to Trump's own donors, who include Miriam Adelson, who basically gave him $100 million to allow for West Bank annexation in exchange.
Every member of Congress who supported the withdrawal of UNRWA funding, it's the same thing, the same sort of smear that, it's Hamas, so we got to starve a whole bunch of people.
All right, in a moment, we're going to be talking to Denis Pilash, editor of the Commons Journal, assistant professor at the Kyiv Institute of International Relations. First, a couple words from our sponsors. There's lots of multivitamins out there. Ritual, however, is different. They're essential for men. 18 plus multivitamin is a science-backed and made with traceable and bioavailable key ingredients. They share the source, the supplier, and the scientific research backing each active ingredient, so you know what you're putting in your body and why. I have told the story many, many times. For a long time, I'd leave my doctor's office. Well, actually, he would take blood, and then I would find out like a week later, he's like, you're deficient in vitamin D. And I'm like, okay, got it. I will go. I buy a multivitamin. I take it, and then it runs out, and then I never take it again. That was until I got on with Ritual. They got one for folks even my age.
Very nice.
I don't have to be explicit about that, but the thing that's great about Ritual, there's two things. One, they send it to me every month. I never run out, and I never forget to take it. And then the other thing is, it is very gentle on the stomach. So I don't have to like remember that I got to take it, but realize like, oh, I haven't eaten breakfast, so I can't take it. No, you see it, you take it, and it reminds me every day. That's important for someone like me. And so it's the most important thing about it, in addition to knowing where the ingredients come from, for me, is that I take it. It's got omega-3 DHA to support heart and brain health. It's got vitamin D3 to support normal muscle, immune function. They're essential for men 18 plus. Multivitamin contains 10 key nutrients in 2 delayed release capsules designed for optimal absorption per day. Like I say, it is gentle on the stomach. It's got a minty essence in every bottle, so taking your multis actually becomes enjoyable. It is third-party tested for heavy metals and Clean Label Project certified, so you know you can trust what you're putting into body. Ritual multivitamins, vegan, non-GMO, project verified, gluten and major allergen-free, and made traceable. It's HSA and FSA eligible with a seamless checkout experience, so you can save when you shop with pre-tax dollars. Essential for Men is a quality multivitamin from a company you can actually trust. Get 25% off your first month for a limited time at ritual.com/majority. That's ritual.com/majority, 25% off your first month. I'll put the link in the podcast and YouTube description. Also sponsoring the program today, product I've been using for probably about a decade now, way before they started to become a sponsor, Delete Me. What Delete Me does is it makes it easy and quick and safe to remove your personal data online at a time when surveillance and data breaches are common enough to make everybody vulnerable. Data brokers make a profit off your data. Your data is a commodity. Anybody on the web can buy your private details. And what they end up doing a lot of times is combining that with stuff they bought on the dark web. That leads to identity theft, phishing attempts, and sometimes also harassment. Now you can protect your privacy with Delete Me. What do data brokers do? Your name, contact info, social security number, home address, even information about your family members, your past addresses. They all compiled by data brokers and sold online. I want to thank Delete Me for sponsoring the Majority Report and for keeping my stuff safe. Delete Me for me and my family members. And it keeps, I've been using it for a long time because I didn't want to, we get some hate mail, we get stuff like this, and it is a great way to keep your information safe. And what it does is it constantly is going out there. So it's not a one-time thing. You get they send you an email every month with what they've deleted and where, but also they keep, it's an ongoing thing because data brokers repopulate. So, I mean, I've been on there searching for my stuff, and you can see like the first line of it in the Google search, but then you get to the site and you realize it's gone. Take control of your data. Keep your private life private by signing up for Delete Me now at a special discount for our listeners. Get 20% off your Delete Me plan when you go to joindeleteme.com/majority. Use promo code majority at checkout. The only way to get 20% off, go to joindeleteme.com/majority. Enter the code majority at checkout. That's joindeleteme.com/majority. Code is majority. We'll put the link in the podcast and YouTube description. Quick break. When we come back, Denis Pilash, activist, editor of the Commons Journal, and assistant professor at the Kyiv Institute of International Relations. We'll be right back. We are back. Sam Seder, Emma Vigland on the Majority Report. It is a pleasure to welcome to the program Denis Pilash, editor of the Commons Journal, assistant professor at Kyiv Institute of International Relations. And Denis, you were just telling us that at this moment there's air raid sounds in Kyiv. Give us a sense of what life has been like over the past couple of years.
Yeah, so the life since Russia has unleashed its attack on Ukraine has been obviously terrible. So the lives of millions of tens of millions of people have been uprooted. Many people had to flee. Many people have actually lost their lives. And just the previous 2 months, June and July, they have been one of the deadliest by the civilian death toll since the start of the full-scale invasion back in February 2022. So in any case, your life is affected here. You live in constant air raid sirens, because at almost every night, the majority of Ukrainian cities, starting from Kyiv, but not even to mention those that are closer to the front lines, like Kharkiv, Kryvyi Rih, or Dnipro, or Zaporizhia, they are constantly shelled, they are attacked by missiles, they are attacked by drones, and well, this requests a complete restructuring of your life and accommodating to the wartime conditions. And of course, the constant loss of your friends, your relatives, is also something to be reckoned with. So I'm just coming from another funeral. David Chechkan, who was an anarchist activist and artist with a very straightforward class-based art. So he volunteered to the army and he was killed at the front line. And again, this was a person who was completely dedicated to the social liberation of the entire humanity. And he just felt that, just like many millions of Ukrainians, that there is no other option, because we are now put against a force that actually says that Ukraine has no right to exist as an entity, as a separate republic, and that brings total carnage, death, occupation, oppression, lack of any prospects for any liberation struggles, actually. So this is something that we are living constantly in.
It is, and our condolences. We mentioned this beforehand for his loss. We are. It is difficult for folks in the United States to get a full sort of like accounting of the perspective of the Ukrainian people in this. I mean, at various times we've been told that this is nothing more than a proxy war between the United States and Russia. I mean, there's various. We can get into your perspective on the agenda of Putin's agenda in waging this. But from your perspective, like, where are the Ukrainian people in this? Is this and how much of the desire to fight will exist, even absent U.S. support, if that ends up coming to pass? I mean, certainly it has been shaky as of late. Give us a sense of the determination of the Ukrainian people.
Yeah, so starting with this proxy war narrative, it's quite telling that just recently Russian media outlets have been disseminating this image of a Russian armored personnel carrier waving both Russian and American flags coming to Ukrainian territory. So maybe it's a proxy war waged by Russians on behalf of Donald Trump. So obviously this is a bit of exaggeration, but ultimately we see that now with a far-right president in the US that serves as a sort of, beacon for all the reactionary, authoritarian, xenophobic forces throughout the world. So there is this clear alignment into a sort of a new axis between Washington and Moscow. And in this regard, all this very, like courting the Russian war criminal, just like Trump was courting the Netanyahu, another war criminal. So it's probably the only type of persons that are real as now are war criminals, and everyone else is just humiliated. But anyway, so here on the ground, with a feeling of ordinary, common, working-class Ukrainian people, so obviously the situation is quite harsh and grim, because no normal person wants to live in a war. No normal person wants to wage a war. No normal person wants to kill or be killed. But we are put into this situation when essentially a stronger far-right dictatorship, a very conservative one, a very authoritarian one that actually brings, even on the pretty, like low standards of post-Soviet space in terms of like democratic freedoms, a very, very harsh regime of occupation, for instance. Again, just an example. So I used to work briefly at a Ukrainian media with journalist Victoria Roshina. So she was arrested illegally on the occupied territories by the Russian occupiers. So she was held in prison without, like any charges. She was tortured. She was ultimately killed, and she was set up for a prisoner swap, but she never returned home. They returned home her body with several organs missing just to hide, to conceal the tortures. And only afterwards it was identified. And this is one of the many stories that you actually can come across. So, but at the other hand, of course, people are really tired with the war and with all the hardships of the war. And again, as you can predict, the ruling classes everywhere, they want to put all the burden of the war on the shoulders of laboring people, of the working people. So, of course, it's disproportionately really affecting working people here. And yes, as no one else in the world, Ukrainians would love to see peace in Ukraine. But unfortunately, on the other side, on the side of the Russian aggressors, there was no real desire for, like bona fide, real peace talks, some talks that would actually take into account the interests of Ukrainians. So it was just the language of the ultimatums. It's sort of, like maximalist demands, no compromises. So even what we hear now, what is rumored to be inside the so-called, like peace proposals. So it's, again, that Ukraine should give up more land, even that land that isn't occupied by the Russians at this moment. And instead, it gets nothing. It gets no security guarantees. And again, we can remind that Russia had lots of agreements with Ukraine that were actually preserving sort of borders, sovereignty, and of course the most prominent of these ones were the Budapest Accords. So when Ukraine gave up the nuclear weapons left after the Soviet Union, Russia, as well as the US, guaranteed its territorial integrity, sovereignty, and ultimately Russia was the one that broke it up. And now you can see that they have like full, almost full free hands given by the far-right administration in the United States. So in this situation, of course, it seems that there is not so much room for alternatives, because still Ukrainians, they are both tired of the war. They want peace, but they don't want to, cede more and more, not just land. It's not about the territory so much as it's about the people. Those people who will be left out under the occupation, or the people who will probably never return to their homes in such a scenario. So this is indicated by the opinion polls that Ukrainians both want a peaceful solution, a solution grounded on some diplomatic terms, but they aren't going to give up, more millions of people to a rather brutal oppressor. And again, now Ukraine is constantly blackmailed by Trump and his cronies, yes, that it will be completely cut off of aid. And again, in this broader sense, you could see another example of imperialist and neo-colonialist, economic colonialist thinking with a so-called rare minerals deal. And it seems that, yes, both Trump and Putin and the ruling classes behind them, they are very eager to collaborate in looting Ukrainian natural resources and in actually trying to decide the fate of Ukrainians without the Ukrainians even not even near the table. Right. Yeah, so that's why many people have really invoked these parallels with what happened to Czechoslovakia in Munich in 1938, when the Western allies just gave it up to Nazi Germany, and then Chamberlain was like waving, I brought you peace, but ultimately this peace was just a prologue to the really worst nightmare in the world history, Second World War, and all the atrocities that were committed by Nazis and their allies in that war. So we have not much room to do, and still Ukrainians recall 2022, when again many were predicting that Ukraine is set to be, destroyed very quickly by this overwhelming military power by Putin's Russia. And at that point, Ukraine had almost no Western aid, actually, military aid. It was mostly, and it's still mostly operating old Soviet equipment. And still, Ukraine managed to halt the Russian invasion.
I just want to make a point there. Is I think that people forget this, that the U.S., it wasn't until like a week or two or three after the invasion that there was even any talk of providing additional aid to Ukraine in terms of weaponry, because I think there was a sense, I mean, Biden in the months leading up to the invasion kept issuing warnings. It did not seem that Europe was even taking it seriously. I think the attack was in February, and maybe as early as even as late as December, he was warning, and Europe was not responding. And I think, frankly, there was, as far as, to the extent that I have no particular insight other than watching the behavior of the administration, that they were surprised and that Europe was surprised at Ukraine's ability to fight back. And then the obligation of fulfilling the obligation, both from the Budapest Accords and also just in general understanding the potential threat was when they started to provide weaponry. But let me ask you, you mentioned that the working class in Ukraine, like in most of these scenarios, are bearing the brunt of fighting this war. How would you characterize the protests that we saw about 3 weeks ago in the wake of Zelensky essentially propagating a new law that inhibits the independence of Ukraine's anti-corruption entities?
Yeah, so this was widely regarded as the first, like huge protest in Ukraine in times of the full-scale invasion and the martial law that obviously was introduced. But actually, there were local pockets of protests throughout the country for different reasons. You could find healthcare workers protesting the closure of their institutions. It is also happening, albeit it's quite, like obvious that in times of war, when so many people need help for their physical and mental health, you need to expand the network of the medical facilities. But instead, the government is run by this neoliberal logic of optimization, cuts, and austerity, and everything is So such examples when people were protesting for that their local administrations were spending money for some nonsense items instead of actually strengthening the defense of the country or making everything that is also quite necessary in times of war. There were protests about, again, preserving some cultural institutions, but this law that was introduced, and it was like passed in, a handful of minutes in the parliament without any proper discussion, without any communication to the people. It wasn't the first law that was put forward in such a way. So we've seen a couple of laws that were curbing, for instance, some of the labor and social rights in Ukraine. They were also passed in a quite similar manner. So without proper discussion, without even explaining for the people why it's needed to help the bosses to fire you, in a more easier manner, how it will help the resistance and the war effort. So people ultimately got really fed up by this way of really obliterating the independence, in this case, not just of these anti-corruption bodies, but of the parliament itself. So the parliament is just, like nodding whatever the presidential vertical says, and it's not even about the executive power, not about the cabinet of ministers, it's about the office of the president. It is, not so checked, you can say unchecked body, and people really are frustrated by this way of dealing with challenges in contemporary Ukraine, with this concentration of power and with lack of real public discussion. And you should take into account that Ukraine hasn't fully, descended into sort of this oligarchic autocracy that is quite widespread in the post-Soviet space, partially because of the traditions of mass mobilizations. For every couple of years, we had mass protests triggered by different things, and this was something that helped to keep the power in check. So now you could see, again, a very spontaneous protest by mostly young people, many of them, maybe this was their first experience of being politicized, of being part of a mass street mobilization, because they lived through the COVID restrictions and then through the full-scale invasion. So obviously there were no mass gatherings of people. And you could see that actually they had this pretext that we are protesting against this particular law, but they were actually expressing their broader discontent and their broader desire for keeping democratic institutions and democratic discussions in touch, because this is something that we really also are fighting for to preserve not just some abstract republic, abstract Ukraine, but Ukraine that is actually run by the people and where people have their say and where people have the right to protest and where people can really get their elected officials to accountability. Yeah, so again, corruption and in general this system of oligarchic capitalism that is predominant in our region. So this is something that obviously everyone is discontent with, and everyone wants to get rid. So again, in times of war, this is aggravating the already dire situation. And as we've mentioned that, yeah, you see that the working class people, they are both at the core of the resistance, you could say, because most of the people in the military, they come either from industrial cities, yes, or from the countryside. These are working class people, but also those working class people who are essential workers who keep the country afloat. So just to recall the railway workers who actually never stopped the railway, and this helped millions of people to flee to safer places, and also that kept the humanitarian aid coming and saving human lives. And you could say the same about healthcare workers, about rescuers, about lots and lots of people who are really the bulk of the this, you know, like
they're the key to the infrastructure, right? So, Denis, let me just ask you if we could turn just for a moment, because we have running out of time here. But today, Zelensky is meeting in the White House with the heads of state of half a dozen European countries with Trump. Trump has come from the Putin meeting in Alaska on Friday, and all that seems to have come out of that was that the Trump administration has moved from wanting a ceasefire to accepting Putin's desire for a peace agreement.
Within like 5 hours of the meeting, he'd change from ceasefire to peace agreement, which is notable, right?
Yeah, I mean, well, why? Articulate for us what the difference would be and why there is a suspicion over the idea of a peace agreement versus a ceasefire.
So you could see how the Kremlin has been really sabotaging, rejecting any sort of ceasefire. Yeah, so even the, you know, like stopping shellings of Ukrainian cities and like any civilian objects, civilian infrastructure, and every time they tried to say, what we are going for a you know, like broader peace agreement immediately, no ceasefire. This meant that more and more lives have been taken, more and more people have been killed, and they actually want to have this very swift, you know, like without any proper consideration, so-called agreement to actually enforce their very expansionistic terms on Ukraine, and to actually come to some, you know, like middle ground, some normalization with the US at the expense of Ukrainians. Yes, so no one cares about the Ukrainians, so we can just like split them up and then exploit them and their natural resources, and we will be at the same time admitted back to this club of the, you know, like white colonizers of the West. That Russia actually always tried to be and always was, albeit it tried to also present itself as somehow antithetical to the West, to make its propaganda for the global South, albeit their treatment of countries that are smaller and weaker than them is not no better than the worst cases of Western imperialism. So this is everything is about the same type of. Yeah, so this is actually quite, dangerous because without any other alternative, any other option, when you are like cornered and you had this ultimatum that you should actually agree to the worst terms and you will have some agreement that will rip the country off. So this may be a point of no return, but actually very few people, they believe that any real agreement will be reached. Yeah, so it seems that this will be just maybe another step for embracing like Russia as part of this like far-right conservative networks throughout the world, but it wouldn't really bring any end to this hot phase of hostilities.
Denis Pilash, editor of the Commons Journal, assistant professor at Kyiv Institute of International Relations. Thanks so much for your time today. Really appreciate it. Again, condolences, and hope to speak to you again soon.
Thank you so much. Really appreciating your show.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, folks, we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, Alberto Medina, writer, editor, and of the Free Puerto Rico Substack. We'll be right back after this. We are back. Sam Seder, Emma Vigeland on the Majority Report. Pleasure to welcome to the program Alberto Medina, writer, editor, advocate for Puerto Rico's decolonization and independence, and the publisher of Free Puerto Rico on Substack. Alberto, welcome to the program.
Thank you so much for having me, Sam and Emma. Great to be here.
Want to get to the question of Puerto Rican independence, which is, sort of like always in the background as people start to talk about what the Democrats, if they get back into power and if they decide to exercise that power, how can they build on that power? Puerto Rican statehood is often mentioned within a series of different things they can do. But before we get there, I guess it was about 2 weeks ago, Donald Trump essentially fired 5 of the 7 members of Puerto Rico's Financial Oversight and Management Board. Let's talk about first what this board was. I mean, there's sort of like a frying pan to the fire type of quality of this. And also, it seems to me, it's another example of a structure that is put in place by Obama and where you would say, well, this is bad, but also contemplate, like, what if it's not Obama as president? Like, just hypothetically, what if it was someone crazy like Donald Trump? I mean, this is where we're at now, but walk us through, what is the FOMB?
Yeah. So just to give people a little bit of background on why this even came to be and why it's happening, Puerto Rico has been financially and economically vulnerable for a very long time. It got battered by the Great Recession, and about 10 years ago, it reached a point where it had accumulated about $70 billion in public debt. the government of Puerto Rico declared that debt was unpayable. Problem was, Puerto Rico's not a sovereign nation, of course, so it couldn't sort of avail itself of those structures to restructure its debt. And Congress had actually, declared decades ago, for reasons we can only guess at, that Puerto Rico could also not enter bankruptcy, could not enter Chapter 9 bankruptcy as U.S. municipalities can. So it had to do something, right? Because Puerto Rico had no legal way to restructure its debt. The Puerto Rican legislature actually tried, it actually passed a law to create sort of a debt restructuring process for itself, and the federal court struck it down because it said the federal bankruptcy code was what applied, and the federal bankruptcy code did not allow Puerto Rico to do this. So Congress gets involved, Congress legislates, it passes this law, Promesa, signed by President Obama.
I'm sorry, can I just add, just for people who don't know, what bankruptcy would do at that point for the country, what it's done for New York City declared bankruptcy back in the 70s. It allows the debtor, in this instance Puerto Rico, to restructure its debt and essentially pay back creditors like, a fraction of what they owe, and allow themselves to get that type of relief so they have room to make investments and they can actually pay, to attempt to build themselves out. So by stripping the Puerto Rico of the ability, or I should say, fundamentally denying the ability of Puerto Rico to declare bankruptcy, you are denying them any type of autonomy, which is available to other entities, whether it's corporate or individuals or cities or municipalities, to restructure their debt, which is like a fundamental building block of finance.
That's right. And, that would have been a painful process for Puerto Rico, certainly, but it would have been much better than what ended up happening, which is Congress passes this law, Promesa, signed by President Obama in 2016, which creates a debt restructuring process for Puerto Rico, but it creates the Financial Oversight and Management Board, which Puerto Ricans not very lovingly call La Junta. It's a board of 7 unelected members appointed by the President of the United States that are given the power to oversee this debt restructuring process, but are actually given sort of awesome, almost unlimited power over Puerto Rico. Whenever Puerto Rico's legislature passes a law now, they have to basically submit a memo to the board on what the fiscal impact of that law will be. And if the board decides that it doesn't like it, that it doesn't fit into its vision for Puerto Rico's finances, it can strike down a law passed by Puerto Rico's elected legislators. So, it's a very colonial, imperialist entity that on top of that has basically tried to restructure the debt by implementing massive austerity on Puerto Rico, by slashing pensions, by cutting funding for public education, for all kinds of public services. And that's what it's done for basically the past 10 years. So with good reasons, most Puerto Ricans do not like the board. But as you say, it is a frying pan into the fire situation now, because Donald Trump has not eliminated the board. He has merely fired most of its members. He actually fired a 6th member since I wrote that piece. So there's now only 1 of 7 members on the board. He fired initially all the Democrats. He did fire one Republican who had been appointed by President Obama and had been there since the beginning. So this happens 2 weeks ago. It happens after a kind of pressure campaign from Laura Loomer and other, ultra-conservative. And
she's the main character in every story now and is dictating large swaths of U.S. policy. We just opened the show with the fact that her tweet about Palestinian children in Heal Palestine is basically now being translated into the State Department pulling visas for kids with no limbs.
Yeah, it seems as though she's running the government, and these board members were sort of her latest victims. And one asks themselves why, right? Why does Laura Loomer suddenly care about Puerto Rico's finances? And, I think the answer is that the vulture funds, the hedge funds who bought a lot of Puerto Rico's debt, who have had it and who have been fighting, Puerto Rico and the board in court for years now, and often losing, because even though they've been profiting massively off of, this debt restructuring process, they want to profit even more, because of course they do. They sort of figured out a way to get some pressure going, get some of these board members out of the way, and the expectation is that the new members who will be appointed by President Trump, and the president appoints these members based on lists of recommendations from mostly the majority in Congress, will be ultra friendly to the bondholders, ultra friendly to these hedge funds, and will implement more austerity and continue to hurt the Puerto Rican people.
I want to get into that, and I want to also get into like the sort of the sort of the crypto element to this as well. I mean, but I want to just stay at Laura Loomer for 1 second. I understand, like, the idea of Laura Loomer acting as a conduit for these people, and the chances of like, Laura Loomer is being sponsored by these bondholders or whatever. I mean, that to me, like, she's functioning like a lobbyist, I guess, on some level, or maybe she isn't, maybe it's not. I'm just like, I can understand that type of dynamic would make sense to me. People who are always in the orbit of the president end up getting approached, whether, whoever it is, and, represent my interests. What I find fascinating is that why is she an effective conduit? It just seems, and I know you're not in a position to know that any more than I don't know, maybe even Trump's chief of staff has any clue as to this. But what is it? Is it just the bondholders? Is it like, who are the financial interests that have been in any way squelched by the FOMB? What is left? I'm trying to think of like what scenario where it's just sort of like you would put an edict out there, like, every dollar needs to be repaid, but $1.25 per dollar, or I'm trying to figure out what more can these people get, and who who these people are has changed slightly. I know there has been a lot more crypto sort of investment in Puerto Rico over the past half a dozen years or so.
Yeah, and the crypto piece is largely kind of a separate thing of some tax incentives that Puerto Rico passed that attracted a lot of these investors and ultra rich people to move to the island, which is a whole kind of other conversation about the gentrification and displacement. These people buy up sometimes entire city blocks to turn them into Airbnbs. So that's certainly a problem. In terms of the debt, it is a lot of hedge funds like Golden Tree Asset Management that has been especially active in fighting, as I said, Puerto Rico and the board in court. The biggest piece that they're focused on right now is outstanding debt from PREPA, which was Puerto Rico's public power utility before it was privatized, essentially because the board forced its privatization as part of its new fiscal reality for Puerto Rico that it wanted to impose. And the fight really there is that the bondholders want the power bills in Puerto Rico to increase even more. Puerto Rico already pays one of the highest rates, certainly in the United States, perhaps in the world, for electricity. They just want to increase the power bill on Puerto Ricans who 40% live under the poverty line, including 60% of Puerto Rican children. Let's raise their power bill even more so that we can get more money in the coffer so that bondholders can get paid even more. This is sort of the biggest fight right now. It's a fight that they were, again, kind of losing in court. So I think they figured, well, if we can't convince the federal judge who's in charge of Puerto Rico's debt restructuring process to approve this deal, let's get rid of these board members, these commissioners, right? I mean, the board right now doesn't even have quorum for any kinds of negotiations. The federal judge already had to delay a series of deadlines that were coming up in these, debt court cases because the board can't operate right now. So I think this is what, Trump and Loomer or the people behind them, because I don't think either Trump or Loomer really much know or care exactly what happens in Puerto Rico. But they're useful instruments for these folks who, they don't want just 60 cents, 70 cents on the dollar on bonds that they bought, a lot of times knowing that it was junk, right? But I think they foresaw that they were going to be able to profit from it, and that's what they're trying to do right now.
Well, I'm just like fascinated by just the money piece of this. If we could stay for a second, like your article cites that McKinsey has made over $100 million or something like that, consulting on the debt restructuring. And then you have these members of the board who were appointed by Obama, and it seems like the austerity agenda was going quite well based on like its stated terms. What are even the obstacles that the Trump administration is concerned about? Because look, it looks like the people in Puerto Rico are being immiserated. They don't have their sovereignty. People are getting rich. Like, what more do they want is the question that I'm asking.
Yeah, and I think they want more of their money back on these bonds that they bought, and it's certainly true that the board has been a real moneymaker for lawyers, for consultants. The board members themselves don't have a salary, but the staff of the board, including its executive director, who, as I mentioned in the article, right now is Robert Mujica, who was Andrew Cuomo's budget chief in New York when Cuomo was governor. He makes $625,000 a year as the executive director of the Financial Oversight Board. That's a higher salary than the President of the United States. And there's a staff that is obviously getting paid, and then there's this army of lawyers and consultants that they've used over the past decade. The estimates I've seen put the costs of the board at $2 billion over the last 10 years. And this is all getting paid for by Puerto Ricans. So even though the law was and the board was established by Congress, Puerto Rico foots the bill for all of the costs associated with the oversight board. So it's a particularly cruel insult to injury that even as it is eviscerating Puerto Rican society, we also have to pay for them doing it.
I just want to explain to people about this issue about the bonds, because when people hear like, oh, they're getting 70 cents, return on their dollar. The whole, if I am not mistaken, Puerto Rican bonds, I'm thinking now 10, 15 years ago, were returning north of 10% in terms of dividends. Maybe up to 15%. They were very, very lucrative. And they also completely tax-free, because they're outside of any bounds of like a state or municipality. So you're getting these massive returns. And the risk associated with them is that, that's why you're theoretically getting those returns. And a savvy investor knows that. And what they're trying to do is change essentially the rules of the game, which is you get big returns for a high risk thing. And now what they're trying to do is completely eliminate the risk by taking over the entities and extracting the money, their returns, from the average Puerto Rican.
Yep, that's right. And Puerto Rico's bonds have always been a huge, huge moneymaker. They are triple tax exempt. This is another decision that Congress made back in the day, supposedly, right, to foster investment in Puerto Rico and to allow Puerto Rico to use this as a tool for economic development. Of course, that is part of what led to this $70 billion debt trap that Puerto Rico found itself in. But it's really, it all comes down to Congress and the U.S. government getting to make the rules, right, when it comes to Puerto Rico, and the folks who know how to move pieces within the U.S. government, whether that's through Laura Loomer or that's through legislation. They get to use those rules to their advantage. So when we talk about Puerto Rico being a colony, this is what colonies are for, right? It's for economic exploitation. It's not going to look like gold and silver mines like it used to in the 18th and 19th century, right? This is what colonialism looks like in Puerto Rico in the 21st century. It's bonds, it's the Jones Act,
finance,
it's all
right.
of these. It's all of these sometimes kind of bureaucratic, technocratic things that are hard to wrap your head around, and you got to keep a lot of numbers in your head. But this is how Puerto Rico is abused and exploited in 2025.
So the sort of I guess the natural next question is like, how does Puerto Rico get out from under this lack of autonomy and get the rights for some type of autonomy or self-determination? Some people suggest statehood. Then there's some representation for Puerto Rico. You had a piece sort of delineating the difference between the question of statehood for Washington, D.C., which is now being occupied by essentially federal militia. I don't know what else to call them. And in Puerto Rico, address that. And maybe we should start just like with sort of the polling, because to the extent that we have a sense of what the Puerto Ricans feel about this, it's difficult to really assess. I mean, I think that sort of broadly speaking, there is an inclination towards statehood, but it's not as strong and obvious, I think, as some of the polling, or you would suggest that some of the polling shows.
Yeah. And, this has been a very difficult and very complicated question for a long time. Puerto Rico has voted 7 times on its political status, going back to 1967, all of these non-binding votes with, different kinds of ballot designs and questions and boycotts, especially in recent years. And we have seen a huge change, especially in the last few years, as Puerto Rico's crises have intensified. So in 2024, in last year's election, there was another one of these votes, and statehood did get 59% of the vote, but independence and sovereign free association, which is a form of independence in which Puerto Rico would then negotiate a bilateral compact with the United States. So those two sovereign options combined for 42% of the vote, which is a dramatic increase from the kind of single-digit support that independence would get in these elections previously. And I should note that those numbers are only the numbers if you do not count the hundreds of thousands of blank ballots and spoiled ballots from people who just objected to this process, who sort of as a protest vote left the ballot blank, or sometimes wrote Free Palestine on the ballot, or Free Puerto Rico. So that's kind of where we are right now. The independence movement has been growing by leaps and bounds. I think in part.
So let me just ask you one question on that. So because that's a weird way of tabulating this. Like if you have 100% of the vote, and let's say 25% of the vote is the ballots left blank, it's you can't then just take the remaining 75% and assess and pretend that's the 100%, right? I mean, that's what was done there. That's not how most sort of like things are done. It would be, maybe it got a plurality, but it didn't necessarily get a majority.
That's right. And actually, if you account for the blank ballots, statehood got under 50%. I believe it was 48, 49%. And this is what's happened with these votes, because, a lot of Puerto Ricans think of them as a joke now. Again, there's been 7 of them. None of them have been considered, treated as binding by Congress. Congress has ignored the results. I mean, statehood got 59%, by some accounts, right? Last year. Who's talking about statehood right now in the U.S. or about actually doing this or listening to the will of the Puerto Rican people, as it's often put? It's not happening at all, because I think most people understand the political reality that it just can't happen in Congress, that it can't get 60 votes in the Senate, just as, statehood for Washington, D.C. can't. I think, if anything, D.C. statehood is slightly more likely than Puerto Rican statehood, but not likely at all. And that's been the case for a long time. We've seen it in recent years when there has been some legislation that either never even makes it out of committee, or certainly doesn't make it to the Senate. So I think this is what people need to understand about the question of Puerto Rico status. And I think progressive have especially have had a little bit of a blind spot here, and have often said one of two things: either it's not our place to take a position, this is up to Puerto Ricans, they should decide, and whatever they want we'll do. But of course that's not true, because it's all up to Congress and what can pass in Congress. So I think what that does is sort of perpetuate the colonial status, because it doesn't address the fundamental reality that Congress is in charge of Puerto Rico, including of Puerto Rico's political fate. Or they'll sort of do this push for statehood, which again does not address the reality that, to my mind, and I think to most people who think about it for a couple of minutes, like there's no way to get the 60 votes in the Senate for Puerto Rico statehood. But also on a political, ideological level, especially for progressives and folks on the left. And it's really fitting, I think, to be having this conversation after a conversation about Ukraine. When it comes to something like Ukraine, I think we understand very well the need to preserve national sovereignty, right? And I think we understand that it would be an injustice if Russia just finished invading Ukraine and then, added it to the Russian Federation and gave it all of its voting rights and all of its representation. I don't believe that would be a just and decolonial outcome for Ukraine. Well, I don't think statehood is a just and decolonial outcome for Puerto Rico, because it would mean that the United States got to invade a nation, as it did in 1898, keep it as a possession for 125 plus years at this point, and then permanently annex it and keep it forever. And I think that's at the heart of the difference between the DC and Puerto Rico statehood questions. DC is an American city of, Americans who, by a constitutional quirk, really, don't have full political rights and representation. Puerto Rico is a nation, a Latin American and Caribbean nation that was invaded and occupied by the United States, has been kept as a possession, as a colony. And I think if you invade a place, the right thing to do is free it, not keep it.
What would be the mechanism for independence? I mean, if statehood needs 60 votes in the Senate, is there a mechanism? What would be the mechanism for Puerto Rican sovereignty?
Yeah, and I think there's a couple of different ways that it could happen. Probably the easiest and most realistic way is through an act of Congress, because again, legally, Congress has full authority over Puerto Rico under the territorial clause of the Constitution. The UN could certainly get involved, and for the last 40 years, the United Nations has passed, at least the Special Decolonization Committee of the United Nations has passed resolutions affirming Puerto Rico's right to decolonization and independence. That has not sort of made it to the General Assembly or really had much impact, and I think most of us know the challenge of getting the UN to have any real impact on some of these issues. But that is certainly, another possibility. Puerto Rico could establish its own sort of status convention, or kind of a constitutional convention-like body, and come to the determination of, we've decided we want sovereignty. That's our demand. Take that demand to Congress. I still think that would have to end up in some legislation, but the push could come that way from the Puerto Rican people. But many of us, and the work that I and my organization do in Congress especially, is recognizing that Congress has a huge role to play here, and that it actually is easier to get to 60 votes for independence, I believe, than to statehood, because even if it is for frankly, racist and unjust reasons, there are many Republicans who, would support Puerto Rico's independence, because it means, hey, we don't have this threat of statehood and new Democratic senators, and we don't have to keep sending tens of billions of dollars a year to these poor brown people in the Caribbean. We're not going to have 3 million new Latino voters, which is what statehood would mean, right? I mean, think about where the country is right now. Think about especially the anti-Latino politics that are at the heart of politics in the United States, arguably for a very long time, but especially right now. Does statehood really seem like political possibility in the near or medium term? I certainly don't think so. And as long as we keep pretending that it might be, just because it might sound good to say, like, oh, let's give Puerto Ricans equal rights, the kind of colonial status that allows Trump to now take over Puerto Rico essentially through this board firing will continue.
Well, I mean, I think we all have to wait for Laura Loomer to weigh in on this question if we really want any type of resolution. Alberto Medina, we will link to your Substack, Free Puerto Rico, as well as your piece in the Jacobin on the Trump's hostile takeover of the island, and specifically in terms of like the finances on the Financial Oversight and Management Board. Really appreciate your time today. And again, we'll just keep looking at Laura Loomer's Twitter feed to see what we're all going to be doing over the course of the next months and years. So appreciate your time.
Thanks so much.
Thank you.
All right, folks. That completes the first half of our program today, which, of course, went late. This show 15 years ago was set up to be 45 minutes in the first half, and then 45 minutes in the second half. And it's just mission creep after mission creep.
We won't rest.
Folks, it's your support that makes this show possible. You can become a member, even though, we end up doing the whole show in the first, give you 3 shows for free every day, it seems like. But you can become a member at jointhemajority.com. When you do, you not only get the free show free of commercials, but you also get the fun half, which is also 3 times the size that it was supposed to be. And back then, you could get a DVD of Who's the Caboose if you became a member.
Wow.
We don't even do that anymore. I mean...
You mean DVDs?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I'm stuck with boxes and boxes of DVDs. Bless you.
Thank you.
Also, don't forget, Just Coffee. Fair trade coffee, hot chocolate. Use the coupon code Majority. Get 10% off. You can buy the Majority Report blend. Matt, Left Reckoning.
Yeah, Left Reckoning, we had a Sunday show, patreon.com/Left Reckoning. We talked about Hakeem Jeffries being unable to not only endorse Zora Mamdani, but also unable to call out sort of market failures and trying to get the mantle of who really champions the free market these days in a kind of pointless way. Also, North Texas DSA and Rio Grande Valley DSA members checked in, so we have an interview with them from Chicago last weekend. Patreon.com/Left Reckoning to get access to the show.
See you in the fun half.
3 months from now, 6 months from now, 9 months from now. And I don't think it's going to be the same as it looks like in 6 months from now. And I don't know if it's necessarily going to be better 6 months from now than it is 3 months from now. But I think around 18 months out, we're going to look back and go wow.
What? What is that going on?
It's nuts. Wait a second. Hold on for a second.
The Majority Report.
Emma, welcome to the program.
Hey.
Matt.
What is up, everyone?
Nomi Key.
You did it. Let's go, Brandon.
Let's go, Brandon.
Bradley, you want to say hello?
Sorry to disappoint everyone. I'm just a random guy.
It's all the boys today.
Fundamentally false.
No, I'm sorry.
Stop talking for a second. Now let me finish.
Where is this coming from, dude?
But dude, you want to smoke this 7A?
Yes.
Hi, me? Is it?
Yes.
Is this me?
Is it me?
It is you.
Is this me? Hello? Is this me?
I think it is you. Who is you? No sound. Every single freaking day. What's on your mind?
Sports. We can discuss free markets and we can discuss capitalism.
I'm going to go throw up.
Who libertarians?
They're so stupid, though.
Common sense says, of course.
Gobbledygook.
We fucking nailed him.
So what's 79 plus 21?
Challenge Matt.
I'm positively quivering.
I believe 96, I want to say.
857-210-35 501 1 half 3 8s
9/11, for instance.
$3,400, $1,900.
5 4 $3 trillion sold. It's a zero-sum game.
Actually, you're making me think less of it.
But let me say this. Poop.
You call it satire. Sam goes, it's satire.
On top of it all,
Yeah.
my favorite part about you is just every day, all day, everything you do.
Without a doubt. Hey, buddy, we see you. All right, folks.
It's just the week being weeded out, obviously.
Yeah, sun's out, guns out. I don't know.
But you should know.
People just don't like to entertain ideas anymore.
I have a question. Who cares?
Our chat is enabled, folks.
I love it.
I do love that.
Look, gotta jump. Gotta be quick. I gotta jump.
I'm losing it, bro.
2:00. We're already late, and the guy's being a dick.
So screw him.
Sent to a gulag?
Outrageous.
Like, what is wrong with you?
Love you. Bye.
Love you. Bye-bye. We are back. Sam Seder, Emma Vigland on the majority report. Soon she'll be here. Obs, hey, moderator from the MR Discord here. Were you aware that your Discord is absolutely riddled with freaking socialists? They're being supportive of each other and having discussions about the news like a bunch of wonks. What kind of sick listenership have you been cultivating? Disgusting.
And dear God, if you want to come at me that way, you're going to have to take it up with me.
No.
Graham Page, whatever happened to Andy Kindler? Is he not going to be on Casual Fridays anymore? Our Casual Friday stuff has been blown up for about a year and a half.
I don't know if you've been watching the news.
Yeah.
I am.
Like, yeah, I mean, it is rare we have a second guest on Friday now. I want to get back into it, but it's also like this past Friday, we were like, we should take phone calls the whole time.
Mm-hmm.
And then we, because we run out. So, no, I want to have Andy back. I miss Andy.
Me too.
It's like,
I want to have Feldman back, too.
You guys had Feldman back when I was out, I think, right?
Aaron from Germany, the Fun Half stream isn't working for a lot of people. It's just buffering.
Refresh.
Starspawn, tell us about this DVD. Can we buy them to support the show? No, I think I shut down even the site to sell the DVDs. But if you want to watch Who's the Caboose, you can go to iTunes. I think it's on.
iTunes hasn't existed for like 4 years. So you mean Apple TV?
That would explain why I'm not getting checks anymore for Who's the Caboose.
How many expired mediums can you watch Who's the Caboose on?
This is on Real Player.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Betamax.
Here it is. Available one place, Apple TV.
Apple TV.
That's what it's become. Just call it Apple TV.
I think it's on
iTunes.
Amazon too, maybe.
Well, Google says otherwise. So.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah.
I'm going to release that on YouTube. Eventually.
Censored by Bezos.
Exactly. Oh, well, it's not on Netflix, but yeah. So Apple TV people.
It was on Netflix at one point.
Daily Wire Plus.
Huh?
It was on Daily Wire Plus for a little while.
I'm in deep negotiations, just like Tim Pool. Tim Pool and I are in deep negotiations
with the Trump administration to replace PBS.
No, I get a lot of huge licensing deals. There's this. I can't divulge much, but there's a guy from Belgium who is interested in giving me millions upon millions of dollars to license Who's the Caboose. And so
as long as you denounce wokeness.
I'm in negotiations about it. Exactly. I have to say one or two positive things about the coming race war, and that's about it. Let's go to this. Folks. Are you feeling emotionally untethered? Perhaps a little bit like emotionally lost in some fashion?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Well, Patrick Bet-David is here for you.
Oh, okay.
Let's check in.
Bill, because I think he's played a very important role the last couple of years. Watch this clip here. Go.
He's talking about Bill Maher.
No.
Oh, this is the other thing we should say. You keep him up there. Patrick Bet-David desperately wants to be on a Bill Maher show. He desperately wants to be on there. He is on a full court press to get on the Bill Maher show. Watch it with that in mind. Know that Bill Maher is one of the pettiest Fs in the country. And to get on his show, you have to, A, have a mostly conservative perspective on things, and B, you have to really kiss his ass. And so Patrick Bet David, Project Get Me on Bill Maher.
Ford.
Look, I'll say this for Trump. He's got this idea that America is still the biggest swinging dick in the world, and we have not used our power as much as we should. That's what the tariffs are about. We have the power to change these people's, other nations' trading practices with us, some of which were out of line. I'm surprised that people went along with it as much as they did. So he wasn't completely wrong about that. He said, look, NATO hasn't been paying their fair share. I'm going to make them do that. He wasn't wrong about that. And I'll tell you this, one thing about him that I know, I'm not going to tell you how I know, but a lot of people have seen the same thing. He really does hate war. He really does not like it when people die in war. There's 4 different wars.
It's almost like Bill Maher.
I am, well, there's things I could tell you about Bill Maher. I'm not going to tell you how I know them.
Oh, yeah. Well, I could too.
There's so much I would love to know about being a 21-year-old girl.
I hate war so much. But Miriam Adelson asked me, to be fair, is Gaza really a war? It's more of a genocide.
Yeah.
Genocide, I like.
Love
Genocide's
genocide.
okay.
Yeah.
The war thing, I don't like.
What could Bill possibly mean by that?
Oh, he means that when he went to dinner at the White House,
the thing we all ridiculed.
Trump said, "I hate war," and Bill was like, "Okay, I don't know what I'm going to eat more ferociously, this consommé, or you're telling me you hate war."
I thought you were going a little bit more vulgar with that, but I'll restrain myself. I like all that it takes to win over Bill Maher is saying, "I hate bad things." Cool.
Genuinely, for him to say
That's
that,
right.
Wow.
So you know what it is with Bill? They hate people like Bill. Of
course.
The left.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Because, you know why? Because they're.
I'll just remind people real quick that Bill Maher is somebody who in like the early 2000s was saying it's good that we went into Vietnam because we needed to show the world that we were going to stand up to communism and we had to do it someplace. So it might as well have been.
Now, I hate Bill Maher because he doesn't like war. Yeah, exactly. That's why. That's why everybody.
The guy who was defending Vietnam
exactly
in the 90s and 2000s.
Yep.
There's too much reason.
Yeah.
There's too much reason. He is willing. Go to the power versus force, Rob, if you could, the chart. When you go to the power versus force, Bill Maher is willing and is accepting and is able to reason. Those are all the qualities they hate. Look at courage level 200. Then go neutrality. Then go willingness. He's willing to go visit Trump. He is accepting that he won.
Wow.
He is willing to reason. And I actually think Bill Maher loves America.
Pause it for a second. Wait a second. Okay, keep this up here. I'm trying to figure out. He's got courage. He's up at the 200 scale map of consciousness. What the?
Wait, where's courage? Where am I looking?
Right in the middle, the yellow.
Okay. Well, I mean, I don't understand why Patrick Bet David is bothering himself dealing with somebody who's not even in the green zone. Like, I mean, I get it. Okay, green zone people, they're on their way to truly loving America. But the blue zone people are the only folks that I would associate with.
I'm starting to be convinced by this because courage and pride are just separated by a thin line there, and I think that might be some of the problem.
Oh my God.
Delineating between those two.
That is so beautiful.
I just don't get. Is he not disdainful and condemning? It seems to me to be down around like a 50 or 75. His whole show is disdainful and condemning and vindictive. Is vindictive down there? Because Bill Maher is widely known as the most vindictive person, one of the most vindictive persons in show business, and that is a business full of vindictiveness.
It's hard to be known for that.
But okay, all right. I hate to argue with Patrick Bet David about where to place people on the map of consciousness. But go ahead.
then go neutrality, then go willingness. He's willing to go visit Trump. He is accepting that he won. He is willing to reason. And I actually think Bill Maher loves America.
Wow, he's up there.
I actually think Bill Maher loves America.
I wouldn't go that far.
No.
You don't believe it in reason.
I believe Bill loves America.
Of course,
I
think
believe
so, too.
Bill loves America. I believe he's. So what's the point of where it's going to today?
What is the
Original
point?
statement with Bill.
What is the point? Oh, I need an opportunity to compliment Bill. He loves America.
Is Bill working on real time over the summer? Because I'm going to make a bet, if that's the case, that Patrick Bet-David is on within the next month.
Oh, he desperately wants to be on.
Patrick has been on Club Random, but he hasn't got the call up, as far as I can tell, to the actual real time.
Was he on the episode where Bill Maher brought a bunch of children on camera and asked them about pornography? And by children, I mean like literally 8-year-olds, 9-year-olds?
And asked them if they were all trans.
No, but
Yeah.
here's one from the Reddit review. This Patrick guy is remarkably intellectually dishonest, lightweight of the highest order. His wildly obvious attempts to redirect Bill by flattering him silly revealed how bone dry his conversational cupboard truly is.
Go ahead.
Well, it's they're not coming here. They're not coming. There is a reason. There is a reason. Why would somebody? I went and sat down in front of 20 anti-capitalist socialists in LA, knowing the fact that these guys are in college right now. They're being fed everything by the professors on the left.
Wait,
they have every history story. I'm not reading history books like the way.
But that's him saying he just did Jubilee.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, surrounded by anti-capitalists.
That'll be fun. Maybe, or maybe it won't be.
But they're reading right now. They're in school. I knew what was going to happen. I'll sit down and talk to you. Let's talk. What do you want to talk about? These topics, these issues, let's sit down and talk about it. The people on this side, they're willing to entertain ideas that they have knowledge on, that they're willing to go. The only reason you don't want to go sit down and have a debate with a topic is what? It's not a topic I'm knowledgeable on.
Yeah.
Hey, Vinny, we want you to come and debate why tariffs suck. Guess what? If you do it, I
have one or two good points, but I'm not going to.
But if they want to debate Tom on tariffs, guess what? Tom should do it. He would do it. Right? So the reality of it is.
Oh,
like
wait a
this
second.
part
Are we
when-
pretending again that Tom is their policy guy?
Tom, the policy guy.
Tom wears
Really
glasses,
stupid.
so he knows.
Tom the wonk.
Tom's off camera, just go. Spit take. Oh, yeah, I'm
Tariffs
ready.
what?
I'm ready.
On tariffs.
I'm ready.
Even Bill is starting to say something like that. No one is surprised. It's to the point that right now he's giving credits on the tariffs. Do you know what China just said? China just admitted that Trump's tariffs are taking a toll on their economy. Think about that. That they have to finally admit that it's taking a toll.
Pretty sure China has from the very beginning said there's no winners in a tariff war.
Yeah.
That's the point.
We're all
It's just too much
interconnected.
reason for me. My brain is shutting off.
Well,
because
you
of all
are
the
not
reason.
yet in the green level of the consciousness chart, so it makes sense that you can't.
I like how
absorb these
Vinny's just
ideas.
oblivious to the fact that they use him as a stand-in for dumb guy that isn't ready to talk about.
What?
On their economy. Let me read this to you.
I don't think we need that.
Let's just can we go to the we've got something like 60 to 70% of economists right now. No, they could be wrong. Who are predicting stagflation in this country. China has said there's no winners in a trade war. It very well may be the case that they're feeling the pinch of the economy, but guess what? This country is too. I don't know if you saw the jobs numbers. Oh, they're fake.
Right, forgot.
Except for Scott Pissant says they're real enough that we should cut rates.
Right.
Unbelievable.
The map of consciousness.
The map of consciousness strikes again. Where did they place themselves on this again? They
They're probably towards the top.
They're almost enlightenment.
Yeah, it's like Buddhism.
Yeah, there's no chair under Patrick. You know that, right?
He's just levitating.
They just have a back.
Floating cross.
There's no bottom chair, part of that chair. It's just like a floating board, and he just sort of sits up there. Oh yeah, since we're doing this, sure, let's do that.
The knucklehead rundown.
Okay. Can someone remind me, like I never really got into this story that much, the original story.
Mm-hmm.
And I get confused between her and the woman who took a lead pipe to Nancy Kerrigan.
Tanya Harding?
Tanya Harding, yeah.
Tanya Harding vibes.
It's total Tanya Harding vibes here.
Tanya Harding is more righteous than this
So
idiot.
this woman, she was a college athlete, correct?
She tied with a trans woman for 5th place and has now made this her entire
So
career.
if this trans woman was not in the swimming competition, she would have been 5th place.
5th place, yes.
But without having to share it.
She had to share the podium that was just like right off the floor, an inch. I don't know if they do those tiers.
I have not competed in college level sports. What medal do you get for 4th place?
I don't think you get one.
Oh, so it skips one. And you go to 5th place.
It must be the case. I mean, otherwise it would be so silly to harp on this constantly when you weren't even in the top 3.
Did she have to split like the aluminum foil medal that they got?
Maybe.
She got the gum that it was wrapped around.
How many people are in that swim competition that you tie for 5th place?
I don't know because I don't care about a swim meet that happened how long ago at this point. But some people, they can't. She's the person
How many
that
years ago was this?
A few years ago. She graduated. She's the equivalent of the person wearing their Letterman jacket 10 years after graduating high school. She can't get over this one swim meet.
March
that she participated
2022.
Okay, so 3 years
How could I
ago,
forget the date?
and is she now? Is she like a Fox News correspondent, or she's just like a?
I think she's been, struggling in the minor leagues, broadcasting for a couple years, and maybe has finally flunked out.
She's graduated from the Kyle Rittenhouse Masters Communications program, essentially.
I'm not sure if that Black Rifle Coffee will get in touch here, maybe.
All right, here she is. And what is she commenting on now?
It's a new ad.
Oh, she's doing an ad.
This is an ad for a very important back-to-school supply that every parent needs.
Oh, well, she's making money. Oh, good for her. She's a celebrity on the right. All right.
School is about to start. Fall is around the corner. You know what that means. The season where everyone seems to catch something is quickly approaching. That's why my family likes to stay stocked up and prepared, especially with trusted medications on hand. Ivermectin has been around for decades, but it's one of those we like to have ready just in case. Whether it's for peace of mind or being prepared for the unexpected, it's good to know you have it if you need it. I highly, highly, highly recommend All Family Pharmacy. It's easy, it's reliable, it's safe, it's backed by science, and you can get ivermectin shipped right to your door. You can go to allfamilypharmacy.com/Riley and get yours today. Don't wait until you need it. Stock up for the school year and for the fall season now.
Wait a second. I don't understand. What are you supposed to catch at school? The flu? Does the ivermectin treat the flu?
Ivermectin fixes everything.
Yeah.
Wait, did she believe that COVID exists or no?
Well, you get sick with all these different kinds of things in back to school season. She doesn't even say the
Could be
words
5G
COVID.
poisoning.
It could be anything, and ivermectin will treat it.
Yeah, does she believe in science or not either? It's backed by science, she said.
And what is this place? All Family what?
I'm trying to look it up right
All
now.
Family Pharmacy. I saw in our Rumble that
Yes.
every single Rumble influencer is doing ads for it. Every single one of them.
So this guy, he did the head of it was interviewed by Right Side Broadcasting around a month ago. It's owned by a guy named Michael Kensler, based out of, you guessed it, Florida.
Wow. And literally it's, you can order, and on the top of that thing, go to this, Matt. Go to allfamilypharmacy.com. It's, like all pharmacies, you highlight one medicine at $2 a cap. Go to order. Is it going to be antibiotics? Why is that not dropping down for you? That's weird.
The website doesn't work that well?
It's a drop-down menu for me.
How about refill? All right.
Go to order. It's weird because mine is, it literally, yeah, there it is. Shop All Meds is below ivermectin at $2 a capsule.
This is the thing about ivermectin this entire time is like it's this alternative. Oh, you don't trust the doctors, don't trust big pharma. And to do so, you take out a monthly subscription for a pharmaceutical product.
Yes, manufactured by Big Pharma. This is what I never understood about hydroxychloroquine either. These are all created by the companies they're saying are trying to, brainwash you with the vaccine.
You're paying more for ivermectin than you are for Hulu.
But it's this primal thing where you get down to brass tacks, and these total lunatics are just obsessed with or freaked out by needles. Like they're little babies that are afraid of needles, and ivermectin, you can take it prophylactically, and they say, and they're lying, and you can take it orally.
And it's a big lost opportunity. We went through a health crisis, public health crisis that killed millions of people, and the sort of demand, it wasn't like it should have been from people like us. We should have universal health care and make this and basically massively expand public health. It was instead this Koch brothers aligned, you can't trust the government to do public health, and actually they want to poison you, and you should trust some merchant online to get some horse paste that you can use for non-specific purposes.
And it's also a little bit disturbing to me that this is legal. I just want to say that these medications, you can basically purchase them online. It's the supplementification of healthcare, which is where you can draw the connections between MAHA and RFK Jr. and the right-wing movement. Again, it's all about finding the right product, purchasing the right thing that's going to make yourself healthier, as opposed to having a robust public health system. And it's so underregulated, and it's all like this subculture of advertising and podcasting where this is allowed, and for the next 4 years, it's not going to be legally enforced.
Go back. I'll put this back up on the screen. They've lowered the prices on ivermectin. This is all just basically selling ivermectin. No, go to scroll to the homepage. Go to the homepage and then scroll all the way down to the frequently asked questions. What is ivermectin and what does it do?
Oh my God, they're selling that. This is support brain function. That's the stuff that you see RFK pouring in his drink.
Keep going down to the FAQ. They're frequently, What is ivermectin and what conditions does it treat? Ivermectin is an anti-parasitic medication commonly used to treat parasitic infections and intestinal worms. It has also been investigated for potential use against viral infections like COVID-19. So it's good that they recognize that COVID-19 exists. And in some cases for cancer support.
Nasty.
Just to be clear, it was investigated.
It's good enough for me.
You know what? This afternoon, Brian's going to investigate me to see if I also help with COVID just by talking to you on a Mconnectin, or what is that thing that they call on PDB? Manect. And
I like
we can investigate the results of the investigation. You don't want to know
Right,
about,
exactly.
but,
It has been investigated, and then they've basically been determined. Biden's FDA determined. I know you'll turn your brain off when you hear that, COVID denialist folks, but that it does not demonstrate that it was effective against COVID-19 in humans, and that's what the independent analyses of it said at the time. In part because during COVID, the mRNA vaccines took a little while via Operation Warp Speed to manufacture the vaccines that ended up being highly effective and safe. But there were people that were desperate trying to get treatments at the time. And there were people asking questions saying like, hey, maybe hydroxychloroquine, maybe ivermectin can work. Let's look into it. And they did look into it. And it doesn't. So it's been investigated, because it would have been amazing if already available medications were able to lessen the effects of COVID-19, as we had over 1 million people in this country die. Do you think if this was the catch-all cure that maybe this would have caught on a little bit? Pharma would have had an investment in promoting products that had already manufactured and created to treat the disease that everybody was freaked out by. They would have made so much money if this were the case.
No, but it doesn't have the microchip thing
right.
that the mRNA stuff has. I mean, I don't know why I have to explain this to you.
I don't know either.
It doesn't alter your DNA or whatever.
But you know why I'm not? I reject your arguments because of my DNA alteration and the microchip.
COVID brain.
Bill Gates is telling Emma to say to completely deny everything you're saying.
Yep, that's he's right in that earpiece right there.
Well, good for Riley Gaines or whatever her name is for, finding some work.
I tweeted out in April, Riley Gaines only has about 40 more years playing the victim before she can retire. I mean, she could maybe try to apply at the gun shop that Kyle Rittenhouse is a mascot.
What was the name of the woman who came in 5th place with her?
Leah Thomas.
Leah Thomas. She should also advertise for them and see who does better.
Just crush her everything she does for the rest of her life.
Yes.
Leah Thomas probably has a job.
Yeah.
Leah Thomas probably has a job.
Let's not forget the Riley Gaines Act too. I mean, she's got an impact. Georgia passed the Riley Gaines Act, which bans like trans people from participating in.
I mean, there have been a few of these. What was the girl that shit her pants that was walking around with a gun all the
Kent State
time?
gun girl.
Yeah. They really cycle.
I missed that one.
Sorry.
That's
just a rumor. That's just a rumor.
Yeah, I don't.
I can't remember who that was.
That's not the NASA diaper lady?
Caitlin something.
I don't remember.
I can't remember.
Whatever. The right just uses these people and discards them so easily. And I mean,
It's actually not a good career outlook.
No.
Like George Zimmerman is not somebody you should envy his position. Just also like he's murder. But like Kyle Rittenhouse, like we said, has to work at some gun shop. I guess maybe some sort of mascot for owning a gun. There aren't really.
he's got the body type for it. Sorry.
You got to work. Like you have to live the rest of your life. Like. Good luck doing that through selling ivermectin in your car.
It's out of her trunk. Yeah.
Coupon code Riley.
Let's go to. Should we do? Hakeem Jeffries. Hakeem Jeffries.
Oh my God.
Look, I spend a lot of time mocking Chuck Schumer because Schumer is largely useless in leadership of the Senate. But Hakeem Jeffries is not just largely useless in the leadership in the House, but also, doesn't he have any advisors? Doesn't anybody work for Hakeem Jeffries who could say to him, you don't have to go out there and do these interviews. Maybe somebody else should. Like, keep your position, but why do you keep trying to go and prove that you're not good at this? Like, what was it? We saw him last week. He was on CNBC, and he's there to carry a message to his corporate donors. And Joe Kernan, the guy who gets rolled by just about anybody.
It was Sorkin, but yeah.
Well, Sorkin, but then Joe Kernan afterwards. We didn't play the rest of that clip, but he's getting completely boxed in and defensive by the guys on CNBC. Like, why do you keep going places that you think are going to be less hostile to you and you end up on the defensive? Like, you've been to CNBC. How about go and talk to some, recently former Republicans? Like, ostensibly, these are your people, Hakeem Jeffries, right? These are the people that you have designed the whole program for. These are the people who you think like, oh, okay, I'm not going to endorse Zohran Mamdani because Mamdani is going to keep me from being able to reach out to Republicans and never Trumpers. And these are your people, and you still get rolled. Play this.
First, I guess I don't understand what the holdup is on endorsing Zohran Mamdani in the mayor's race. Could you explain that to me?
Yeah, so I didn't know Zohran at all. First time I ever sat down and met with him was last month. In Connecticut.
Just an absolute lie that Hakeem Jeffries isn't intimately aware with rising socialist politicians in this city. He's actively conspiring against them. But
okay, well, let's just take Hakeem Jeffries at his word that he, up until a month ago, had no idea who this guy, who incidentally won his district by 15, 20 points, no idea who he was 30 days ago. and didn't realize, like, okay, when I met him 30 days ago, I also didn't realize, I hadn't read the news, didn't know that he won the Democratic primary for mayor.
Yeah.
I had no idea.
Well, so what?
No idea.
He's if he didn't know that, he's pretty incompetent because this is the city that he represents.
Okay, now I'm going to just take him at face value.
Sure.
Okay, he's completely incompetent.
Sure.
But also, do you know who Curtis Sliwa is? Do you know who Eric Adams, who just sold out the city so that he wasn't investigated anymore? Do you know who Andrew Cuomo is? The guy who was driven out of office because of 13 accusations of sexual assault, not to mention what he did with the thousands of people he put into nursing homes and that led to their death. Not to mention the what was it? The report, the report on corruption. What was that committee? I can't even remember now. That you appointed, the McEnroe, the anti-corruption, the Moreland Commission, that as soon as they started investigating your office, you disbanded. Not to mention the IDC. Do you know about that stuff, Hakeem Jeffries, since you've been a New York politician for that entire time? I didn't know. Like, I mean,
can he not? Hakeem Jeffries has made endorsements over and over again without even having met the politician. He sat down with Zoran 2 months ago. This is the worst answer ever. And getting embarrassed by a former Jeb Bush guy, no matter if he wears a puka shell necklace or whatever the hell, is even more embarrassing than being a former Jeb Bush guy who wears a puka shell necklace.
And again, like, I didn't meet him until a month ago. Well, buddy, the election is in like 3 months from now. Like, what do you, like, I have to know somebody for 45 days personally.
Well, if he's
before
Muslim,
I endorse them. I mean,
if
like,
he's Muslim, it's a little scary. He needs more time to warm up to him.
First time I ever sat down and met with him was last month, in connection with him becoming the Democratic nominee. It was a good conversation. He was out in East New York, in that part of the district. That's very important to me, very important to Brooklyn, very important to the city of New York. Often doesn't get a lot of attention. It was a candid conversation. It was comprehensive. And we were really having a community-focused discussion about the things that would matter to communities like East New York or Brownsville or the West End of Coney Island, Canarsie, working class neighborhoods traditionally and continue to be predominantly African-American and Caribbean-American, the things that would matter to them, as well as in the southern Brooklyn part of the district that I represent, which is predominantly Jewish. So that was a good conversation. It was an important right?
Just to be clear, the question was, why haven't you endorsed Mamdani? And he just spent 90 seconds, maybe more, talking about New York City. Incidentally, Mamdani was out campaigning in an area that generally doesn't get attention. Okay.
That's great.
Why
That's
didn't
exactly
you
the
endorse him
point.
again? Go ahead.
No, but is that the end of it?
No.
There's some
why was
music
there
cue
music?
that comes in. I'm not sure what this is.
It's in there. I feel like the producer was like, let's just cut to a break. This is bullshit. I don't know, but the music
so it's
will
their
stop
music.
quickly.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
That would matter to them, as well as in the southern Brooklyn part of the district that I represent, which is predominantly Jewish. So that was a good conversation. It was an important one to have, right? I don't just
That's their music.
endorse folks based on no understanding of what the plan is
What's going on over
to actually deliver and make life better for the people that I'm privileged to represent. Yeah. In that conversation, he asked me to put together a follow-up meeting with some community leaders in many of the neighborhoods that I represent, which I told him I would do, was setting that in motion, should occur within the next few weeks. And then once that meeting
It takes you
place,
7
along with
weeks
some
to
other
set this up?
conversations that he's having with members of the congressional delegation, and then I'll make a decision thereafter.
Okay. I guess I was a Republican up till 2 minutes ago, and I'm a capitalist, and I had Zoran on, and I went at him on a variety of issues we disagree on, but like, it's not really a close call, is it? I mean, you have a corrupt mayor that is doing deals with Donald Trump. You had a guy that had to resign in disgrace that already lost a Democratic primary. I don't like. It's not a close call, right? Why not just endorse him and then work with him?
Well, I think what I can say is that he's the only one I'm scheduled to talk to.
Okay. Why not let's just get it over with, though? Why you're prolonging the pain, leader? Why not just endorse Zoran? It's not that hard, right?
Well, listen. I understand, but you know, it's not like things aren't happening. I was just in Chicago. I was in Texas. I was in California.
Right.
We're in the middle of an unprecedented redistricting war.
Yeah. So
that just started and so what? Like, this guy's so bad at what he does. He is so. There's only two answers. There's really only two explanations for the question that Miller asked him, which is, one, I'm just super incompetent, and I want to try and drag this out as much as possible, so that when he does become mayor, I'm as alienated from him as possible. Or two, I have been told by donors, do not endorse until the last minute. Do not do anything to help this guy win, period, end of story. And I am so captured by these donors that I have to keep going out and embarrassing myself over and over and over again. Incidentally, it doesn't just hurt Hakeem Jeffries. What Hakeem Jeffries is doing is hurting every Democrat. He is not a backbencher. He is hurting the party. He is hurting its prospects. He is hurting the media narrative. I mean, like, across the board. He's being mocked by never Republican, who's, more or less his positions are all basically Mitt Romney's.
Yep.
This is not like some,
he's the younger face of the
liberal.
Lincoln Project now, basically. That's kind of his role. Not to say that he didn't do, made fun of him a little. That was a good line of questioning where he asked him there. Like, first of all, we were talking about this on MSNBC last night. I hope Jeffries doesn't endorse. The longer he doesn't endorse, the more it helps Mamdani, and the more it helps whoever DSA is going to promote to run in the district that Jeffries represents. Because I've got news for this guy. Zoran won by 12 points in your district in a primary that had historic turnout. And it doesn't show any signs of slowing down going into 2026, especially this anger at the Democratic establishment. It might hurt Mamdani more. I don't think it would hurt him, but I definitely don't think it helps him to get Hakeem Jeffries' endorsement. I think Jeffries is hurt more by continuing to take shots at Mamdani. So I welcome that he does it, because I want there to be a new leadership in the party. He's entirely incapable of doing what his stated purpose is, which is his concern that donors are going to abandon the Democrats nationally. He knows that he's representing more than himself. It's why other New York Democrats have been quicker to endorse Mamdani, not obviously Schumer or Gillibrand. But Gillibrand is also a national figure. She's the head of the Democrat Senatorial Campaign Committee. So these three New York Democrats have outsized power in the party, outsized connection to donors, and they are speaking to that audience. And so they're concerned about donors saying, I am cutting off our money for the rest of the frontline races across the country if you endorse a guy like Zoran Mamdani. And the point, though, is that money right now is showing that it may not make a difference in all of these races. In many of them, it will. But what did we just see in Wisconsin? The most amount of money ever spent in that race. And it was a partisan fight, sure. But Elon Musk's money didn't matter. In fact, it drew more attention to the race. If AIPAC spends, it's going to draw more attention to any race against in this country. What? Go on.
Do you know who spent a lot of money back in 24 in the 2024 election? Who had a ton of money?
Kamala Harris.
Yes.
Like, the point is that that's what his primary purpose, he thinks, is basically to make sure that it's a favorable fundraising environment for the rest of the people in his caucus that are not in liberal commie New York City. But he is completely, thankfully, because I hope this is the end of his political career, misreading the moment about what Mamdani represents outside of the city. It's not just the appeal here in New York. It may look different in other parts of the country, but activating non-traditional voters disaffected by the political system is something that the Democrats feel they can't control, they can't get a handle on, and it doesn't have the micro-targeting of those small sliver of never Trump Republicans that are hyper-focused on because they spend money and donate, and that they can be targeted by pricey ad buys that make consultants rich. It's crazy, the level of corruption that's on display here. But they're making themselves irrelevant. On MSNBC last night, I got no pushback, none at all, from people on this panel when I was saying that there needs to be a leadership change overall. This is like widely agreed upon right now within the Democratic Party. So we have to keep putting our thumb in this bullet hole and create more pain for them, because it gives us an opportunity to transform the party. And you're seeing that it's shown. Can we play number 2 here? Like Catherine Clark, Jeffries is number 2. So in leadership, right below him is now using the term genocide, after we have polling that shows that only 8% of Democrats agree with Israel's military action in Gaza. You only do this if you are in leadership with Jeffries, if you smell blood in the water, and then you're also getting polling at home that says if you don't shift your rhetoric on this, you're going to feel it. So I'm glad this is important that Clark changed here.
And we each have to continue to have an open heart about how we do this, how we do it effectively, and how we take action in time to make a difference. Whether that is stopping the starvation and genocide and destruction of Gaza, or whether that means we are working together to stop the redistricting that is going on, taking away the vote from people in order to retain power. And it's exhausting to do all of it, but we have to.
And isn't that funny that she said that when you just heard in that interview with Tim Miller, Jeffries repeatedly try to bring it back to purely the partisan redistricting fight. He kept saying, I've got a lot to worry about. We have a gerrymandering fight across the country. She said it explicitly there. And I think that says something about the internal machinations of leadership right now. We have to do both. And she said the word genocide in her answer. So there are cracks here that we can exploit.
Let's hope. I mean, he's just not up to the job. There needs to be a leadership change in both, and maybe that comes in 2026.
I want him primaried out. That would be a very efficient way to get a leadership change prior to even November 2026. We'll see. He's way more vulnerable than people think, as is Dan Goldman, as are these other Democrats captured by the AIPAC lobby. People see what that means. It's reflected in poll numbers, but also I think this is just the beginning of, like, when you have that AIPAC tag on you, it's going to be like a target for populist anger, as it should be.
Let's turn to Donald Trump. We talked a little bit about the meeting that's ostensibly happening, I think probably now, at the White House between Trump and Zelensky and about a half a dozen of the leaders of Europe. But a lot of people are saying that Trump got nothing out of his meeting with Putin. A lot of people are saying that Putin just basically bent him to his will, that he tacoed and came out of there, instead of saying ceasefire, which he went in saying, came out and said peace accord, which is really just another way of saying, like, well, I don't think Putin's ready to stop killing Ukrainians, but maybe we can come to some type of deal. But the other thing that Trump found out, something very interesting, because Putin, famous for caring about democracy, and I mean, he should be. He's been elected how many times? 10 times?
10, 12.
And by almost huge margins. He's very popular. And he apparently gave some insight to Trump that Trump seemed surprised to hear this.
Oh, Vladimir Putin said something, one of the most interesting things. He said your election was rigged because you have mail-in voting. He said mail-in voting every election. He said no country has mail-in voting. It's impossible to have mail-in voting and have honest elections. And he said that to me. It was very interesting because we talked about 2020. He said, you won that election by so much. And that's how he got it. He said,
pause it for a second. Pause it for 1 second. I just stop for a moment. Let's wait. In this face-to-face meeting that he has with Putin, how long was it? An hour? They cut it short. They didn't even get to apparently the plan was to have lunch. We know what the plans were because somebody left them on a printer at a hotel.
Mm-hmm.
Had the halibut.
So I don't know. Maybe they're talking for an hour. Why are they talking about 2020? Like, how does that come up?
I know why Putin's talking about it.
Well, exactly.
It's what Trump's desperate to hear.
Exactly.
You know what,
Sam? But we got nothing else to talk about. You're involved in a massive war. Supposedly we have nukes pointed at each other. We got this situation in Gaza. We have this massive trade war going on. Before we get to that, can we just go back over 2020 one more time? You know, the election I lost before the one I won. Like, do you have any insights about that?
It's like someone coming into a negotiation with Sam and being like, you know what, Sam? I think you're really onto something about red delicious apples being like totally disgusting. Just win you over. Or someone being like,
Great joinery.
Odell Beckham Jr. might be underrated in NFL history. Like, it would be such obvious flattery, but I don't care.
It would be coming to go like, before we start, Sam, Inflation Gate.
Yeah.
That ball, it was cold. And everyone knows when you have a football and it's cold, it's like, why are we talking about something from that long ago?
Deflategate.
Deflategate, yeah, Deflategate. Well, some people say Deflategate.
Some people
I'd say
say
Inflationgate.
Inflategate,
I mean, that's
yes.
the thing. That's the whole point. That was the thing I found the most interesting to talk about.
So interesting.
I mean, are you kidding me? Just never mind the fact that, of course, Putin is playing, but it doesn't occur to Trump, like, why is he bringing this up? This is weird.
No, he's
the world's
Go
greatest
back.
businessman.
Exactly.
Butter
Oh, I had him
my God.
wrapped around my fingers talking about all the greatest hits.
Art of the deal.
Also, what I thought was interesting is I said, good people on both sides. I said, good people on both sides. That came up, too.
Trump was giggling and putting his hair behind his ears.
Exactly.
Putin was saying this.
Yeah, I was just saying my hotels were the best.
He said mail-in voting every election. He said no country has mail-in voting. It's impossible to have mail-in voting and have honest elections. And he said that to me. It was very interesting because we talked about 2020. He said, you won that election by so much. And that's how he got it. He said, and if you would have won, we wouldn't have had a war. You'd have all these millions of people alive now instead of dead. And he said, and you lost it because of mail-in voting. It was
Pause it for one more second. Don't take it down. There are dozens of countries that use mail-in voting. Canada, UK, Australia, Switzerland. I think Germany might too. There are dozens of countries that use it. Go ahead.
Mail-in voting, Sean.
Oh, was that it? He's so dumb.
I know.
I mean, just think about like how much to change the outcome of an election by using mail-in voting. You would have to find out who is not voting in person. Brian would have to send in, let's say Brian was the mastermind behind this, which not
Seems pretty easy to me.
Rough start already.
I always picture I'm the
Brian
mastermind.
has a list. Sam's gonna vote, or Sam's not gonna vote, so I'm going to send in a mail-in ballot for him. Like you go around. That's why you ask people, "Are you voting? Are you voting?"
Yes.
And when they say no, then you raid their mailbox. Grab the ballot that they requested, even though they were planning not to vote. Or the people they request for a ballot, it never shows up, and so they just bag it. They don't vote, and you end up voting. There's no way to do this on any type of mass level. I guess the argument would be
it was Antifa.
I don't know what the argument nobody's walked through how it is with mail-in voting, except for you've got kids intercepting their parents' ballot and they fill it out, and the parents, because they're old, they forget that they didn't vote, and that's how that swayed the election.
It's the Soros hypnosis, or it's Brian going chimney to chimney and taking out mail-in ballots. But you've got to have the Santa superpower, right, to get to every house on election
Jay
day.
Tingle has a good point. How does Putin know who really won the 2020 election?
Trump was the president of that nation. He doesn't. Even admitting that another world leader, especially one not exactly a paragon of democracy, can tell you about your election result, that's a you problem. That's a skill issue.
And that you don't have the just wherewithal to understand that this is a transparent way to suck up to me. I mean, do we even know if the conversation happened, or is he just saying this
I think it's true. I think it
I'm
does
sure
happen.
it's
I think
true.
he's that
because it's obvious
stupid / sort of just motivated by I had Putin around.
I mean, easy mode if you're one of the preppers for Putin, being just talk about this, talk about Russiagate and how unfair it was for him, and you're set.
And how rich you
easiest
can
job
get.
ever, yeah.
There was reporting in The Guardian last week prior to the meeting saying that Putin was going to appeal to Trump's business interests. It's oh, no shit. Anybody could figure this out. He's so easily manipulatable. The only thing that makes him less transparent is just how short-term his memory is and how fickle he is. But everything else in terms of his immediate reaction to something can be totally anticipated.
Instead of Ivanka was really hot actually too, and I thought that was very interesting.
But in the MAGA
Perhaps the
movement,
most
stupid equals strong, apparently.
This is also pretty funny. Here, Bob, would you pop up this tear page?
Oh wow!
play the Curb Your Enthusiasm music. There it is.
Oh, God. Lincoln at the election of 1864 did mail-in. I don't know if maybe it was the Copperhead that won that one.
Meanwhile, this is literally on the day that Newsmax agrees to pay $67 million for their Dominion defamation suit.
Is Dominion just going to be able to survive for 100 years of all these lawsuits?
I mean, I'm sure it's just going to go back to shareholders, but holy moly.
They have no staff. They have only attorneys now.
We should try to get into this business.
No kidding. No kidding. We're not even going to have cameras in here anymore. We're just going to have one lawyer and give them Ethan Klein's Instagram. I'm going to be a multimillionaire.
Harvard endowment levels of money.
Exactly.
Yeah, the internet, easy access to the internet has made it way too easy for folks to make claims that are easily false, easily verifiably false.
All right, let's go to number 11. This is pretty funny. Oh, wait, this is Trump. Oh yeah, on Truth Social. I'm going to lead a movement to get rid of mail-in ballots.
This is 2 days after the meeting.
Also,
what does a movement mean?
He won in 2024 with a lot of mail-in ballots, by the way. The one election he lost is because there were more mail-ins because we had a once-in-a-lifetime pandemic. But that was also the election he presided over.
And seriously controversial in caps. He's capitalizing seriously and controversial. I'm not sure why. Voting machines, which cost 10 times more than accurate and sophisticated watermark paper, which is faster and leaves no doubt at the end of the evening.
Watch Harry Emden.
As to who won and who lost the election. We are now the only country in the world that uses mail-in voting. Oh my God.
Source is Putin.
Yeah.
So funny.
He told me.
That's just amazing. All others gave it up because of the massive fraud, voter fraud encountered We will begin this effort, which will be strongly opposed by the Democrats because they cheat at levels never seen before by signing an executive order to help bring honesty to the midterm elections. You recall in the run-up to the 2025 election, they were terrified. The 2024 election, they were terrified because nobody was going in early voting.
Yeah.
And because the Republicans were told that it's fraudulent. He's doing it again, folks. They must do what the federal government, as represented by the president, tells them for the good of our country. States are merely an agent for the federal government in counting and tabulating the votes. That is actually not true. The states are responsible for their own elections, I think, according to the Constitution. Now, I would love to see, I would love to see federal law that takes over all of this stuff.
Yep.
There was a gentleman on Harry Emden yesterday on
and then
CNN.
It just goes into transgender. I mean, who? Rantings of an old man.
He's gonna be so nuts the next couple of years. Like this is a bad trajectory for his mental health.
Yeah. I mean, he's
And
deteriorating.
all the people are saying like, oh, the Democrats hid Biden's decline. They are going to hide Trump's.
No, they're not.
Did you see the video of him walking
doesn't
out of the
matter.
plane to that meeting with Putin, and he couldn't walk in a straight line? I mean, I'm not somebody that's all video evidence proves something, but I've also seen those photos of his swollen feet and that condition that he had. I don't know. I don't know how long a guy can survive off of McDonald's and at that weight and
Ambush
be healthy.
Cenk on Democracy Now! IMs. Have you considered asking Amy Goodman if she would ask Cenk Uygur on her show with you in studio?
I would.
Amy Goodman. Dude.
Oh my God.
That is such a disrespectful request for Amy Goodman.
Leave poor Amy Goodman alone.
She is way too good for this shit.
Oh my God. That would be the funniest thing ever. That would be hilarious.
Imagine the Democracy Now! Audience expecting like first of all, why is he on here in the first place, and then it's just a debate setup.
Yeah.
Oh my God. You called me a liar.
I won't sit down with Amy Goodman until you apologize to me first. You hurt my feelings.
Oh my God. All right. Let's get back to some more hard-hitting news than that guy. Oh, incidentally.
Do we have a Medicare Advantage
I
ad
was just
read?
going to do my what was that?
We
What do we
maxed out
do?
laughing too hard into the mic.
Too hard into the microphone,
Sorry. Sorry. Away
Listen,
from the mic.
When we're not pushing crypto-backed online gambling, we now push crypto-backed Medicare Advantage programs. But not directly. We just push an advisory company that will provide you with.
They'll help you out.
They'll help you out. They're not going to push you into their own Medicare Advantage programs.
Look, you might be set the way you are, but they might be able to help you out if, in case.
I just think it's a little odd that Polymarket has Peter Thiel money, and Cenk had said that I don't think he didn't know that, but now another advertiser is also backed by Peter Thiel.
Well, Emma,
it's
you
just
used
what a
Facebook,
weird, weird
okay?
coincidence.
Yeah, Miss Hypocrite being on Facebook.
Yeah.
That's same as taking advertisers for a illegal betting company and Medicaid helpers.
Although I don't think illegal for a while. I think Polymarket is trying to get back into the
Polymarket
U.S.
is back
market.
in the U.S., isn't it?
Yeah. I mean,
Well,
now that they have
previously illegal, whatever.
Now that they have the corrupt, here it is, Axios last month, Polymarket to return to U.S. after acquisition. I talked about this with Crystal Ball on Crystal Kyle and Friends because we were speaking a little bit about sports gambling and its impact on the integrity of the game. Like, why are, well, it's because we have the Trump administration, but like you can bet on presidential elections now in the United States. Like that has serious consequences because even with sports gambling, say maybe it can't happen at like the levels of at the NFL or the NBA, but for other sports that are coming up and the players don't make a lot of money, you can bet over unders on like, turnovers and things like that. All you've got to do is turn the ball over once, and then you and your friends can make like $10K, especially if you don't come from a lot of money. We're now going to put this gamification into our elections, and in this democracy, as it falls apart, it's terrifying to me.
And also, I mean, it absolutely does implicate the NFL and NBA. I mean, this is Michael Porter Jr. We should just play this.
I sent this to you, right? Yeah, this is what. Michael Porter Jr. is not a good guy. I just he had other quotes in this interview praising Andrew Tate, but this was still, I think, important.
Who is he?
So Michael Porter Jr. was a former. No, he's on the Brooklyn Nets now. He's a small forward. Won a championship with the Nuggets. But his brother is going through disciplinary actions because he got busted for gambling. And this is sort of Michael Porter Jr. talking about this. And what he says here is absolutely right.
The sports gambling stuff can affect that a lot.
100%.
Think about it.
There you go.
You get mad at these dudes that do the sports betting, but think about if you could get all your homies rich by telling them, yo,
no shit,
bet $10,000 on my under, this one game I'm gonna act like I got an injury and I'm gonna sit out. I'm gonna come out after 3 minutes, and they all get a little bag because you did it one game. Like, that is so not okay. But some people probably think like that. They come from nothing, and 100%. All their homies have nothing,
100%.
And they're like, bro, if I come out of this game after 3 minutes and y'all all hit on my under, we're all getting a little bag.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I obviously my brother went through his situation. Malik Beasley's going through a situation right now. Terry Rozier was in some hot water. But the whole sports gambling entity, bro, it's bad, and it's only gonna get worse, bro. Like we really do get death threats. Like,
and he talks about guys who do bet on the game. Bradley Beal had this happen to him in Washington a couple of years ago. Some guy started yelling at him because he put a bunch of money on the game and thought Bradley Beal messed it up for him with a bad performance, and it led to a physical altercation.
Now think about that dynamic when you're betting on presidential elections or congressional races across the country and what that can incentivize. We already have all this dark money in this country, spending money on elections, and we have no oversight with it. Now there's going to be people that not just invest in presidential candidates or congressional candidates, whatever, to try to get their agenda across, whatever that might be. You might have them literally betting on outcomes. And what does that do? The poly-market thing is a deep rot and indicative of casino capitalism in our society that is creating this level of speculation and money that people are gambling on and taking risks on because we don't have a social safety net that protects people. So these are really predatory companies by every metric.
It's investors making lots of money off of cultivating gambling addictions in younger and younger people. That's all that's happening. That's a big earner for people now. So, and I think it's pretty disgusting to take advertisements on that.
You can also see, you see what the credit card bills are and it's
record credit card debt.
But now you can get them on both ends. You get them hooked to gambling, and then you shove them into Medicare Advantage when they get to retirement age.
Use Huck to a coin for both.
Exactly. We're probably 6 weeks away. Should we just...
How did they not do a coin?
Play 11? Oh. I wouldn't...
You want to place a poly-market bet on it?
I wouldn't be so definitive on that.
In theory, I'm sorry, but if the poly market was legal in the United States, we could have, when there was that bet about whether we took Kamala ads, we could have placed a false rumor and then bet against it and then made a lot of money. How is this legal? It's because we have the Trump administration in office.
We gotta wait. We gotta wait for poly market to come in, and then we just have to imply that maybe we are getting funds from Kamala.
Live from the Poly Market Studio in LA.
Nobody knows what we're even talking about anymore. I don't think anybody in our audience.
Shank Bank.
We're just having fun.
All right, let's go to clip number 11. Look, I'm not a huge fan of Gavin Newsom. I think if you've watched this program for any period of time, you know that. I do think it is good that he's going ahead so aggressively on this redistricting. The time for niceties is all over. I think a lot of times this guy is a showboat. And for the most part, whatever. He has been tweeting out in Donald Trump's voice, which is not, super sophisticated or hard to do. You could do it. It is sort of funny that another politician is doing it. It's so juvenile that it's sort of funny in how juvenile it is.
Yeah.
But this is actually makes it even that much more funny, is to watch someone from Fox News, some right-winger, attempt to be upset by somebody tweeting in exactly Donald Trump's voice. I give you Trace Gallagher from Fox News.
Number one draft pick in the list of Fox News personalities who would want better manners on the Democratic side. Trace Gallagher. I mean, it's just very prep school sounding.
I was gonna say I've never heard this guy.
Trace for a man. Okay.
Guarantees. That's just the bottom line in all of this. Gavin Newsom, meantime, posting this on X, Liz, using all capitals, of course, trying to mock Trump, use Trump style. He's been doing this for a while now. He says, quoting, Trump just fled the podium with Putin. No questions, nothing. Total low energy. The man looked like he'd just eaten 3 buckets of KFC with Vlad. Admit it, Donnie J. You're terrified because this was the worst week of your life because of me, Gavin C. Newsom. I think he's trying to be funny. I don't know what he's trying to do, but it comes across as childish. And you're the governor of the biggest state in the union. What are you doing?
Honestly, I feel like he's trying so hard to be Trump, but he's coming off like Kanye West. He seems absolutely insane.
Wait a second.
Wait, what?
Influencer.
Kanye's bad again?
In addition to them all being supportive of Kanye, but the idea that he's tweeting just like Trump, it's childish. What is it when Trump does it in being serious?
Yeah, is it? It's not childish when Trump tweets like that as the president, but it is childish when Newsom tweets like that as the governor.
Yes.
I mean, overall, it's fine. Newsom is deep in this. He references his son all the time, who's a fan of those streamers, right? Who did they?
Charlie Kirk.
Charlie Kirk. I don't know. I think some of this is good. Some edgelord stuff on the internet is good, but I don't think it has much salience beyond the partisanship of it.
No, it is Gavin Newsom trying to get under Trump's skin. Do I think it's a good strategy for the Democratic Party writ large? No. Do I mind that Gavin Newsom is doing that? I don't care. It's mildly amusing. I would much rather him do that while doing the redistricting. I'd much rather him do that while doing, pushing a single payer health insurance, which of course he's blocked. So it's not disqualifying to me in any way, but it's also sort of good, you do that.
Sure.
Let other people run for president and let other people do other stuff.
Right. I think that's right.
As long as it keeps you busy.
Speaking of that, Charlie Kirk was on Fox News with Will Cain, and this is what he got out, what Newsom got out of Charlie Kirk here. Will Cain basically asked him, hey, so is Newsom a big-time psycho? And Charlie's like, yeah. As somebody who met him in person, yes.
Gavin Newsom does not care because he wants to be president more than listen to the voters of California.
Charlie, you remind me of something there. I had forgotten.
Pause it for 1 second. Pause it for 1 second. He wants to be president more than the voters, than he listens to the voters of California. Is he saying that Newsom perceives the rest of the country to be more liberal than California? I'm
Good
trying to
point.
understand like where everything is on the map for this. Isn't California where the wackos are? Go ahead.
Guest into Gavin Newsom's attempt. Remind me of something there. I had forgotten that you were the first guest into Gavin Newsom's attempt to podcast. You know, I talked about his fraudulence is so transparent. What was he like in person, Charlie? When you sat there, is he capable of being authentically charming? Does he have the mannerisms of it mastered, or is it exposed over a period of time? What was it like being around?
Pause it. Two of the most inauthentic people I've ever seen. Will Cain, who has completely remade himself so that he can maintain this job on Fox, and Charlie Kirk, who all of a sudden became a fundamentalist Christian after years of saying that Republicans should secularize. Go ahead.
Of it mastered, or is it exposed over a period of time? What was it like being around Gavin Newsom?
Two options.
I mean, he can pass a lie detector test. I mean, this guy can win anybody over. But if you understand, it's all about the pursuit of power. This is a guy that will say anything and do anything to be in charge. His entire life has been about the ascension and the accumulation of political power. And you made a really good point in your open. It's not about making sure that they can rebuild Los Angeles. Not a matter of being able to deliver results for the people of the Palisades. Not to be able to make sure that the schools of California are functioning. Right now, there is a bill that is going to head to Gavin Newsom's desk that would legalize some form of child kidnapping. It's AB 495 that is working its way through Sacramento right now. But Gavin Newsom, what he was like personally, is honestly someone that is super inauthentic and honestly fraudulent. You contrast that with President Trump, who I saw him the other day. He is the exact same person in private that he is in public. What you see in private, we get in public. There is no fakery. There is no inauthenticity. But we have to understand that this national fight that Gavin Newsom is trying to pick, by the way, who is he to say, well, Donald Trump missed the deadline? You're the governor of a failed state that has the greatest climate on the planet that is losing population. You have to actively try to get people to leave California. If anyone's leaving California, they're doing so unwillingly. If people are leaving California, that means you have turned it into a smoldering crater of its former self. And Gavin Newsom, he just wants to be the king of the ashes, even though California is an unrecognizable state of its current self.
Such
a good point.
First of all, greatest climate, it burns down every year.
Well, except for the smoke.
I mean, insurers would disagree.
10 years.
Yeah.
Yeah, I left happily, not because of taxes.
Except for the smoke.
Amazing. Well, by the way, Newsom, that's what you get. That's what you get for having Charlie come on your show. You didn't really make it so that you have this new populist front. Yes, you got him to say that you were the most inauthentic person ever on cable television. But at least Newsom threw some trans kids under the bus on his way to getting Charlie's temporary respect.
Yeah, exactly. It worked for the moment.
I think you might find that characterization of AB 495 was a massive.
Oh, come on!
As well.
Oh, you come on! Are you kidding me? Are you going to try and argue with me, Matt, that these state representatives are not drafting a bill to legalize child kidnapping?
He's talking about ICE, maybe.
The bill is intended to help families facing separation make caregiving arrangements, Rodriguez said in a statement. Yeah.
Yeah, I believe that.
Kidnapping lobby.
Matt from New Hampshire, new book recommendation, Exo-Capitalism, Economies with Absolutely No Limits. We'll look into it. Regular Shoe Mike, man, I started the stream late and I thought you all were giving your cats Sunset Lake Smalls.
They do have dog treats.
They have tincture.
I've heard they're pretty good for if your dog, has some hyperactivity, relaxes them.
Jerry McLean. Laura Loomer isn't even smart enough to chain herself because he only uses one door to represent her brain cell. Snitches get stitches, by the way.
If you recall that, Sam, she chained herself to one handle and then people were able to just open the second one.
A lot of people walk by her.
I want to cause a fire hazard.
JR in Philly. In next, Amy Goodman drops in on Tim Pool's skate park. Yelling at Trump because he blew the over-under on the number of cities given over to Russia in his negotiations. Ian from NOLA. The use of Gaza is meant to deny the idea that most of the people in Gaza are refugees from other places in Palestine, most of those places now being occupied by Israelis. It's funny how they refuse to take vaccines but will shoot themselves with Ozempic or steroids.
Yeah.
Not steroids.
TRT.
Human growth hormone?
No.
Testosterone replacement therapy?
Yeah.
Oh,
Fig.
both.
Hi, I'm our crew.
Yeah.
Happy Monday. Everyone's sounding hella sexy today. Quick question. Will you guys be attending People's Conference for Palestine at the end of the month? I recently found out about it, registered go. I have not heard about it. Very excited to hear from Palestinian journalists and medics that have witnessed everything.
Oh,
We got to look into that.
Yeah.
Henry the Contractor. Thank you so much, guys. Really appreciate your coverage. Puerto Rico loves you. Viva Puerto Rico Libre.
You got very excited because he was a contractor.
I did. Dizzle McFizzle. As a Puerto Rican, I have never liked being part of the USA. This nation can go F itself. Free Palestine. Free Puerto Rico. Blaze Chadwell. That We Won't Rest clip is so great because of the way the audio maxes out and sounds like crap. Very emblematic of our Democratic leadership. All right, 3 more. Donald Quixote, can you just tell us who the caboose was? That's the eternal question. 2 more. Sent with lasers. Hassan is debating Charlie Kirk soon. Should be annoying. And the final I am of the day. Eric in Poland. Trump himself has voted mail-in ballot his entire life until recently, as he is a Florida resident who really lives and works in New York. In addition, the entire U.S. military votes mail-in ballot. Matt, Brian, Emma, great job today. Folks, see you tomorrow.
It might take all the strength I got to get to where I want, but I know somehow I'm gonna get there. I wasn't looking when I just got caught between the truth